Hello and welcome back to another episode of the longest game of all time. We are about to go into the 1960s, so well past the Second World War at this point. I'm here once again with Ezio. Hi Ezio.
Howdy, howdy.
And before we get into the game here, because you're people who have watched 7 episodes into this series at this point, I think I'm comfortable saying a few things first, not immediately jumping into the game. We hit 1,000 subscribers! Yay! It only took 4 years.
Thanks so much. We really appreciate all you guys who want to get notified of the next installment in our nonsense.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's actually insane to watch, especially in these last few weeks. Things have kind of taken off, and we've got a bunch of viewers who apparently have never heard of Diplomacy before, so thank you for, like, suffering through our commentary anyway. And we hit
We'll have some more content for all of you new to Diplomacy players shortly.
Yes, we were not expecting it, but we're getting some stuff together. And we hit 2 other milestones in the last week as well. We hit 100,000 views, which is great, and 4 years of watch time. How many years of time have we wasted like talking about this game? It's incredible. So thank you, everyone. It's just been brilliant to see. And so a couple of other things I need to mention before we jump in. The first is Goldfinger, the Austrian player here, actually reached out and messaged us and said, hey, you know, you said that the Italian player was subbed out 2 years ago. Well, you're actually wrong on that. He wasn't subbed out until 1974. So we were we jumped the gun a bit on that one. It's a good thing I didn't actually fix the power rankings to have his name. So we're still here with Mujuice in Italy. And the other thing I wanted to mention on the last video, we had a comment again from Andre, who is the resident documenter of where all the units have gone. It's really interesting stuff. I advise you go back to the last video and read the pinned comment. He has a lot of detail in there that I'm not going to go over. Main thing I wanted to mention, we've had 15 units built in St. Petersburg, including 12 fleets. What other game could you say anything like that about?
Yeah.
That's so insane. And
I love how many of those fleets are just gone.
it is, yeah, they just keep getting blown up and then rebuilt and then blown up and then rebuilt. And the other thing he mentioned was I think we actually correctly predicted this, the most death-heavy province on the board so far has been Bulgaria. There have been 7 units there that have been force killed, force disbanded, and murdered. So Bulgaria is not the place to go if you want to survive this game. But yes, go ahead and read that comment. It's been great to see all your... And thank you for your work on that, Andre. It's probably a hell of a lot of work tracking all these units around the board, which is exactly why we're not doing it. Anyway, shall we jump into the game?
Let's do it. I want to see what happens to Russia. How much does Russia get punished for waiving that army build in Warsaw?
Yeah.
I expect to be mightily punished.
We should mention when we left off, I mean, I assume you guys will know, but Germany had just been attacked by basically everyone during he was holding a truce with Russia, but Russia just went for the stab. Got 3 centers and only built 2 units. And Ezio was rather critical of this refusal to build the 3rd unit. We're gonna have to see how that turns out by moving...
Just so we're clear, it's more than likely a misorder that he intended to build Army Warsaw, but he double-built Army St. Petersburg or something. But it's really punishing.
It's possible. Maybe we'll have to find him and ask him at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a wave to try and keep people on side, right? But it seems like a mistake.
It was an intentional wave. That guy deserves an earful.
Okay, well, let's move into the spring of 1961 and see how things go here. Anything stand out to you? Apart from the German failing to enter orders.
Yeah, the German NMR is pretty punishing. Hilariously, by letting Russia into Ruhr and Holland, Munich had an available retreat. Another interesting one is that Austria accepted the Russian support into Munich
Huh.
while simultaneously positioning himself against Russia.
Yeah, down south we see he actually successfully takes Munich here with the Russian support. Plus, he takes Constantinople at the same time. Like these units rotating around to Vienna and Budapest are not Russia friendly at all. And Russia losing Constantinople is actually huge, right? Because we've been talking for a while about how if Austria or Italy manages to get a fleet into the Black Sea, this becomes hugely problematic for Russia. He's been trying to prevent that for ages.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a Russian fleet in the Black Sea currently to help prevent that. It's going to be difficult. They need to get a second fleet on the Black Sea to really take it. But still, fleets in Con is a big deal. Like,
Yep.
yeah.
I mean, so they have to kind of rotate the fleet in Con round to Bulgaria or probably to Bulgaria, right, east coast, and then pull in another fleet behind it. But you know, it's a possibility that one wouldn't be there if he'd managed to keep Constantinople. Of course, there wasn't anything Russia could really do to prevent this here, just due to the position he was in. And they attempted a Lepanto-ish kind of thing, just in case he left Smyrna open, which seemed a little unlikely, but hey, it was worth a shot. I forgot that Austrian fleet was sitting there in Ionian Sea. Italy's in a really bad spot here.
Italy is still on three, and as long as Russia is about to solo, no one can kill Italy. But if Russia gets stopped while there's still an Austrian fleet in Ionian and Venice, it's difficult to see how Italy gets back in it.
Yeah, this is true. It's actually interesting to see in the north with the German army in Munich able to retreat to Kiel, or Kiel even. It's probably better for Austria and Germany that they dislodged the Russian units in Munich here, the German units in Munich. That the Austrian accepted that support, assuming that now the Austrian and the German work together.
Yeah, I think Austria and Germany are happy to have that army retreat to Kiel. It's worth it is shocking how little progress Russia made despite Germany's NMR,
Yep.
right? He didn't get North Sea to Norwegian. He didn't walk into London or anything. Edinburgh didn't go anywhere. He got absolutely nowhere with this. Um, because he made a guess that Yorkshire was going someplace else, and that just didn't happen.
Yeah, I think like maybe he was tapping Yorkshire to make sure he didn't lose Edinburgh, but I don't know if losing Edinburgh is that bad of a thing here. Like, I suppose what else are you gonna do with North Sea here? You can make a move
Well,
on London that probably won't work, or you can go
you
up to
can
Norwegian.
reposition into Norwegian.
But then if Edinburgh gets dislodged, then it just gets blown up, right? Which is the downside.
Yeah, that's true. You could go after Yorkshire with support from Eddie
Yeah,
instead of having it tap Clyde.
that's
But
an option, but do you actually want to end up in Yorkshire? It's such a
yeah,
horrible province to have a fleet in.
you want to end up in Yorkshire, right? Let's say they take Eddie from Yorkshire, which is the most likely way you end up there, and Yorkshire retreats to Norwegian. Then you're going to be in North Sea, Norwegian, and Yorkshire, and you can retake Eddie if you want, convoyed from Norway via North Sea,
That's
right?
fair.
And that's
It's
just a guaranteed order. You're also adjacent, assuming English Channel doesn't end up in London and Mid Atlantic doesn't end up in North Atlantic, right? If those things happen, then it's of course different.
yep.
But if it's like this, alternatively, you're now bordering London as well, so they might need to cover London with English Channel. It's useful to have more units in that position, right? Yorkshire is a better place to have a fleet than Denmark.
Yeah. I mean, Given the German army in Kiel, I think I would probably
Why is there a
prefer
German
to
army in
keep
Kiel? If you're
Denmark
planning for a
here.
German army in Kiel, you're doing something wrong, right? Just
Yeah.
don't go to Kiel.
Okay, Russia's got to assume that Ruhr is not going to manage to move here, right? Given the
Like Ruhr or Holland doesn't move, right?
yeah. Sorry, so
Right.
Holland would not be able to move into Ruhr. This was just an attempt to bounce that went wrong because
Yeah.
of the German NMR. So actually, maybe Germany NMRing was the right decision.
Whatever.
Uh,
I'm sure that if that Germany would have rather moved English Channel to London and Mid-Atlantic to English Channel or to North Atlantic Ocean.
yeah, for
Right?
sure.
I'm sure.
Like, with
But
regard to Yorkshire, when we were talking about that, I think it just feels wrong to me to put a fleet into Yorkshire, because almost all the time when you're trying to invade England like this, you're trying to put an army into Yorkshire, because Yorkshire's such a good province for an army to be in. It controls, like, 5 of the 6 territories in the UK, and the other one is Clyde, which you don't care so much about.
yeah, and a fleet only controls 2.
Yeah, exactly. But more importantly, like, the fleet can only move to 3 provinces when it's in Yorkshire, which makes it very, very liable to be blown up. Which is exactly what could have happened to this Yorkshire. Well, it could still happen to this German fleet in Yorkshire here. It's a dangerous place to be. And a German unit getting forced here would be really bad for Germany, given the situation in their home centres.
Yeah, given they control exactly Munich, which is occupied by an Austrian.
Yep. Although they might be getting Kiel back. Probably not, given the position.
Hungary by Denmark, Berlin, Holland, and Ruhr that are all adjacent to Kiel, and the only potentially valuable unit is the only one that can support it is the army in Munich, which can get cut by like 5 different things.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then potentially, right, Belgium can cut Holland or Ruhr. Burgundy could cut Ruhr. Yeah, I think Kiel is totally safe.
Alright. So I assume you have to try and like pull Kiel out to Ruhr or to Holland here.
Yeah.
Pulling it out to Ruhr might actually work.
Yeah, Ruhr is definitely the place that I would go because there's nothing that could support it. Right, there's no Russian army that can hold Ruhr because fleets in Holland can't support Ruhr.
Yeah.
And you're really probably unlikely to take Holland because I would expect Helgoland Knight to be supporting Holland here, while like Denmark supports Ruhr to Kiel or something. That's probably the moves that I would make, but
yeah.
Eh.
The other alternative is you just go, screw you, Austria. Why did you knock me out of Munich? I'm going back. Because of the units around you, the one that's probably the most likely to move is if you just attack Munich here, right? Because the Russian is unlikely to be supporting that. He's more likely to be tapping it with Silesia to try and make sure that Kiel, his move into Kiel goes in.
Yeah, certainly. And then if Germany taps Berlin with Kiel, then Munich seems pretty safe. They would need to use Ruhr to take Munich. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of guesswork here, but
yeah, it's a guessy position for sure.
It's not it's a guessing position that's always good for Russia.
Yeah.
Right, Russia can never lose this guess if he just makes reasonable, safe tactical moves, and he has potential to guess for going +1, I believe. Is basically it.
So that about covers Russia in the north. I guess we have to talk about this Russian situation in the south, where things are considerably less good, right?
Yeah, I mean, we looked at this at the start of the phase, right? The fleet in Constantinople is a big loss for Russia. This line is way harder to hold once you've lost Khan.
Yeah.
And Austria is getting in position to pressure Romania and get into Galicia, so...
I think he just has Romania guaranteed, right? As long as he uses Constantinople to cut Black Sea.
Ukraine can support Black Sea.
Yeah, but then you risk losing Black Sea, which is
Yeah, absolutely. This is a rough situation for Russia here. Um, it in the other side, he has guesses to go well. Here, he has guesses to stay at -1, and if he misguesses, he goes down to -2.
Yeah, I'm interested hear your opinion on Sevastopol to Armenia here, putting the Third Army in Turkey. Um,
If you expected Austria to stay on side because you were supporting him into Munich, I totally understand it. Because Italy is the bigger danger here, and you want to hold Smyrna and Syria. We've seen Russia do this a lot this game, and I understand why. It's just if Austria stays on side, you solo. So I think you need to wait no matter where your army is. So I think it was a little too greedy here. But
yeah.
frankly, if he just had another unit in Warsaw that he could move into Ukraine while Galicia went into Romania instead of Ukraine, then suddenly his position looks significantly better because Romania is no longer guaranteed lost.
I had a feeling that would be mentioned, yeah. This is
Yep.
definitely a position that would be better for the Russian. Not great, but better for the Russian if he had built his third unit. Um,
Yeah, but like we're talking like that extra unit is just guaranteed to get an extra supply center this year, right? That unit is just turning a supply center into -2 to holding at -1 guaranteed. Whereas currently, I believe Russia needs to guess because Constantinople could go to Ankara, right? And then Aegean backfills Khan. If Russia uses Armenia and Syria to support hold Smyrna, then that would work. If they don't, then Constantinople can instead support something into Smyrna. So I believe the best moves from Russia here would be to use Black Sea to cut Constantinople while Armenia covers Ankara and Syria supports Smyrna, because then the only way that the West takes Smyrna is if Constantinople takes it. But we discussed earlier that Russia needed to use the Black Sea to defend Romania. So if Austria just double supports Serbia into Romania, or just has Budapest support Serbia into Romania, then supports Aegean into Smyrna, Russia then has to have this guess, right? Like
yep.
it's just tough. They really, really need an extra unit to hold this, but they can't.
They can't unless they can hold enough centers to build next year, which, I mean, that would
It's
have to come out of the
possible.
north. Uh,
They they would need to get something. They need to do a fancy smanchy guess.
yeah, well, shall we see if they make the correct fancy schmancy guess?
Yeah, let's see it.
Fall 1961. And you
Wow.
you were correct that Kiel gets obliterated here. He doesn't even. Well, no, he attempts to rescue it into Holland, which.
Yeah, Russia makes the fancy schmancy guess.
Yep.
Um,
And takes Munich.
and doesn't lose Khan and doesn't lose Romania.
Whoa.
So I think Russia's building two. I think Russia's at 17.
Is that correct? They get.
Because Russia was -1, right? Oh, they're at
Oh, they
16.
lose Edinburgh,
Yeah.
yeah. So they're at 16, but
Wait,
that's
no,
still.
no, no, hold up. Because no, they're actually still at 15, right? Because they're minus Eddie plus Munich. They're just still building one because they waived, right? They were
Yeah,
playing down.
they
Russia
didn't
had no
gain
waive,
anything else. This is correct. Kiel was
but
already theirs.
they should be -1 on the year because Constantinople should have gone to Ankara, right?
Yeah.
Or they should have
Although
supported Apulia to Smyrna.
it would have
But
been very easy to blow up in Ankara, right? In Bulgaria, it's quite safe, and it's setting up on Black Sea.
I just don't care about setting up on Black Sea. I care about building another army. Like, currently Tyrolia is vacant, right? If Austria was building an army in Trieste or Vienna, they moved to Tyrolia, and then suddenly Tyrolia is no longer vacant. Piedmont needed to go to Marseille to cover Burgundy, now that Burgundy ended up in Ruhr, so that's totally reasonable to not move to Tyrolia, but from here it's just really awkward, right? We had the opportunity to completely wreck Russia because of their lack of that unit, but instead, I'm not sure exactly what these tactics are going to look like next year.
Yeah, seems awkward. It seems, although like, yeah, Russia has a pretty damn good position now, especially with the units in Yorkshire now being an army. As we mentioned, that it lends a huge amount of control to Russia over the British Isles, and there's now nothing to stop them making a run for Mid-Atlantic Ocean, right? Or at least going round to North Atlantic Ocean, putting pressure on Liverpool.
Yeah, certainly.
The move up to London and Mid-Atlantic and the English Channel does cover their bases on that front, but it's not good against an outflanking maneuver here. And remember, Germany, even if Germany does manage to gain centres, like Edinburgh in particular, technically they got Kiel taken off the board, right? So I think they have a build here.
Yeah, they're going to be playing down one.
They're not going to be able to use it, probably ever, given the current situation.
Ever is a strong
well,
word.
Yes, given how long this game goes for.
Munich is probably their best bet to recapture a center. But it's... The only hope is that there are so many fleets around here from Russia. There are only 3 armies near Munich: Berlin, Silesia, and Munich. So it's not impossible for Austria, Germany to use their 5 armies combined to take Munich back, but it's certainly not trivial.
Yeah, but I mean, the point still stands that Germany really needed to pull the units in Kiel out successfully, because now they're going to have to play a unit down until they can retake Munich and then hold it a year and keep it empty in order to get that build. Even if they gain centres now, they're going to be in trouble in that respect.
Yeah, and this means that the centre such as Holland, that is not a German home centre, has lost a significant amount of value for Germany to capture. So as a result, Russia can risk Holland as long as they keep Munich locked. Keeps Germany out of it.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, Germany is in pretty much the exact position that France hunkered down in for most of the game, with the downside that he does not have his home supply centres. That makes a big difference. So is there much else to talk about in this phase? Well,
the difference between this German position and the French position is that France has Paris. Yeah, the Eiffel Tower is important for the French, but not important for the Germans, I guess.
Yep. The Germans cannot bring French troops to the forefront. The French do not want to fight for the Germans. Yeah. Even if Russia will take over.
Fun change if you hold a center for more than 10 years and it's somebody else's home centers, you gain the ability to build there.
I mean, I feel like that wouldn't come into play in most games.
Exactly, so it's a totally reasonable change to add, because it's not going to screw over the balance of most games.
It would be interesting in this game.
This one is crazy.
But yes, almost every other game, I think it would have little to no effect. So
yeah, maybe a variant similar to Build Anywhere, but it's just build in home centers, but you can build in anyone's home center as long as you control it.
Yeah, I think there is actually a variant like that. I think that one of the colonial ones is fairly similar to that.
There'd be huge upside to England just sneaking a fleet down into Naples, right? And then just starts pumping out fleets there.
I love the variants. Look, we're getting really off topic here, but I love the variants where England has a home center right here in Gibraltar. There's some modern and various other ones that have England having a center down there, and it's always horrendously terrible for France or Spain or whatever power is near there. They try and gobble it up immediately, and that English fleet just sails around them, being annoying for ages. It's great.
Yeah. Yes. Let's not discuss the details of some of these other variants. We could go on for a long time about optimal strategy for Spain in modern diplomacy.
Yep.
But let's just look at the build.
Yes, so let's go ahead and see whether Russia decides to waive their build again. They do not. Army Warsaw.
They decided not to waive when there was an Austrian army in Galicia? Wow.
It's a year late, but they get that army down. Their
Yeah,
south still looks bad.
yeah, but it looks a lot better now there's another army around.
It does.
It just, by losing the army, they lost their position, right? Galicia got lost, Romania is a guaranteed capture if they want it, etc., etc.
I mean, Constantinople is... well, no, they can hold Constantinople, but it's... it requires them, in order to hold both Constantinople and Smyrna for certain, they have to use all 4 of their units around there, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, is that such a cost? Black Sea supports Smyrna to Khan, Syria supports Armenia to Smyrna, and you
You,
just say, break me.
you give up Romania, and
Yeah?
you don't have 3 units to hold the Warsaw-Ukraine-Sebastopol line if you do that, right?
I mean, yeah, but Romania's already lost.
Well, yes, that's true. I guess you can pull back from Cilicia to cover all 3, or you could just take guesses around Warsaw, Ukraine, Sevastopol, but it still feels bad.
Oh, of course it feels bad, but you're always going to feel bad when you're playing down.
Yeah, it's true.
And
And
if Russia can just stall, right, and find a way to pop a couple more German units, right, this German fleet in Edinburgh looks like a promising target, then they might be just fine.
yeah, this is true. It, like these centers, the French and English centers are enough for them to solo, even if they lose their entire south, right? As long as they hold on to Warsaw and Moscow, they can just push into the Western Front and make their gains there.
Yeah. It would be very difficult while there's these 4 German armies on the mainland
Yeah.
and these German fleets. Like, they want to hold on to these, so they only have to take Eddie and Liverpool or whatever to solo, but
But yeah,
I'm thinking of a more long-term approach where you can pop like 2 German units while you hold Munich, and you concede slowly in the east, Romania and Sev, um, while you can just keep popping and you stay neutral by gaining Eddie and Liverpool, right? You're not disbanding because if you start having to pull armies off as Russia, you're not going to do this.
yeah,
But if you can just gain, right, Rum and Sev are the only easy losses you have, and you can make up for that with Eddie and Liv. And if you manage just by some miracle to go +1 in one of these next years, then suddenly Russia has no problems. And I believe Russia is a
yeah.
heavy favorite to solo.
They do certainly look like they're in a good position, despite the interesting position in the south. uh,
Yeah, you actually said that you were contemplating them pulling Cilicia back. I have a different approach. I think they should have Cilicia support Munich into Bohemia while Berlin backfills into Munich right now.
huh. So
This
you
keeps Munich
just
relatively safe because you're kicking away Bohemia, and you're hoping that Austria needs to defend Vienna, um, and can't commit everything to attacking you, and then you can work your way into Galicia, and suddenly your position is much more solid.
that's fair. You really don't need the army to stay in Berlin, right? There's nothing behind your lines that can deal with that, and the Germans are. Well, if you can push into Bohemia, you'll probably be able to hold Munich against these German armies. Your fleets are holding them back more than enough in the north on the coastal centers there.
Yep,
But yeah, shall we go ahead to the spring of 62?
let's see it.
All right. Spring 1962. He doesn't quite follow your advice, but he is in Tyrolia, the Russian. That is, that was completely undefended. And like I suppose, like you said earlier, the Austrian really should have focused on getting a build so that they could plug that hole.
Yeah.
Now this is going to be awkward. So, is there anything in
Yeah.
particular you want to discuss here? Or
Um, Russia's position in the east looks significantly better now.
yeah, taking
Jet,
Galicia, taking Tyrolia, and
fantastic for Russia.
guessing correctly in Turkey, although they could have guessed either way because both powers tried to support each other into Constantinople. Which, I don't know why you would ever support the fleet in Bulgaria East Coast to Constantinople. That seems like it's making backward progress.
Yeah, it seems pretty natural to support Aegean into Khan while Ionian tries to get back into Aegean if you're going to support that, but...
Yep. And the I mean, this is suddenly, yeah, as you say, much much better for the Russian here.
Yeah, Romania is actually guaranteed Russian. That's
Is that
astounding.
true? Whoa.
And then Russia gets to, in doing so, by having Black Sea cut Bulgaria, then Russia can have Smyrna tap Khan, and so that will still prevent Bulgaria supporting Aegean into Khan. The
Yeah.
only risk would be Aegean supports Eastern Med into Smyrna, but
Yep.
did I say it was guaranteed? It's not.
Well,
Romania is. Oh yeah, it
no,
is.
Romania is
Because,
guaranteed. They have three.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I thought there was an extra unit in Serbia afterwards. I thought that Serbia both moved to Romania and stayed in Serbia. It duplicated as it moved.
suppose
Okay,
that's
that's
the.
a variant. As units move, leave a copy behind. The
That would be
blob.
such a broken variance.
Yeah. I mean, that's a variant where you really want to move. If you get bounced, it's
Yes.
terrible.
I mean,
Still get
yeah.
supply pack, though.
I mean, I feel like, oh yeah, because if in winter you have to disband down to your supply cap, that actually makes it
That,
interesting.
that sounds like a crazy variant.
I want to play this one now. That would be,
Alright,
but
Aim, you're responsible. Set that up on VDIP. Let me know when you're making the inaugural game. I'll
oh
play that one.
god, I do not know how to code that. This is, but
The
hey,
good
maybe a
map making
special rules
on VDIP.
game could happen with a human GM. We'll
Oh
see.
my god. Who would want to GM that?
I'm sure someone would.
Well, let me know if you find someone who's willing to GM that.
Oh boy.
Anyway, so the
All right.
South looks great. Just very, very good for Russia in the South slash East. The only potential worry would be, yeah, nothing. Great. So Russia's invincible on the East. Like,
Yeah, they suddenly have a really solid line here. It's kind of incredible how quickly that materialized. Um,
yeah, I mean, just the complete Galicia trying to support Bohemia into Silesia while getting forced to retreat did not go well. Um, right, Budapest misguessing supporting Serbia into Armenia instead of support holding Galicia, of course, is punishing. Bohemia misguessing not going into Munich or bouncing Tyrolia is very punishing.
yep.
Um, it just hurt. And then of course the miss support in the south, right? So Russia made his way back into Khan is also very punishing.
Yeah. I don't know how much con itself actually does, right? Because it's not backed up by Smyrna. They're still in Syria there, so they do have to pull back to Smyrna to cover it,
Sure, but
unless
it
they
means if
just
you
want
want
to
to
give it
pop
up.
Bulgaria, right, you can now have Black Sea support Khan
Oh,
Volt,
that's an option. Ouch. After all the
and then
effort to push that unit through, if it just gets
yeah,
popped, that's.
absolutely, and that's just a risk, right? That now Italy has to consider: is the GNC going to make any aggressive moves, or is it going to try to ensure that Bulgaria stays? And I don't think that's going to happen. I think Bulgaria is just going to get popped, and like, yikes,
Yeah.
as they say.
Hmm. Wow. This suddenly looks very, very good for Russia. We haven't really discussed the north here, though.
Not at all.
He tried to convoy back from Yorkshire, which seems odd. Like, after you get that powerful position in the UK, why would you not take advantage of it here?
This is a really good move. I'm
Really?
really, really happy with this. So he wanted to support hold Holland, right? But he also wait,
Why doesn't he
wait.
just order Kiel support hold Holland then?
Yeah, because he also wanted Holland to Helgoland because now Helgoland Bight can support hold North Sea.
Right.
So now he can have. Okay, so my instinct whenever people make these convoys that are while supporting the convoying unit and the convoying unit North Sea in this case gets attacked, I'm just really happy. That move feels really smart.
Hmm.
But in this case, it might be wrong. But like
Well,
he just bounced.
I
all of the
mean,
German moves.
yeah, it was a bounce, so he does keep his strong position in the UK. Maybe it was intentional. Maybe it was just saying, you know, I'll bounce you out of Holland and then keep my army in Yorkshire. If that was the intention, it's pretty good. But I
Yeah, it's
don't.
just the counterpoint, right? Is he could have simply had Kiel support hold Holland, while Yorkshire does something else, namely anything else, such
Yeah,
as attacking Edinburgh, bouncing Liverpool, supporting something into London or whatever. Like, yeah, I mean, it was certainly really fancy. I like the move. I'm a fan of these moves.
I suppose the big plus of doing this is it frees up. When you say he went to Helgoland to support hold North Sea, he didn't actually need this third support hold, but it does free up one of Norwegian or North to do something other than hold, right?
Potentially, but if he does that, then he loses Holland. So
Yeah,
Helgoland Light is probably going back to Holland, right?
yeah. This is the downside.
Yeah, maybe Germany was hoping, or sorry, maybe Russia was hoping that Germany would overextend to defend Liverpool, have Clyde support Eddie, have English Channel move to Irish Sea, have Ruhr not support Belgium into Holland for some reason, perhaps tap Munich or Kiel, and then by getting the army back into Holland, he can hold this line for a very long time, because Kiel could then hold Holland while Helgoland supports North Sea. And then suddenly he is completely safe on this front for, right, he's not going to lose anything for super long.
Yeah,
But now instead he kind of just he might just go for it again, right? Supporting Yorkshire into Holland this time with two supports, so he gets into Holland guaranteed,
yeah,
and then he has his line set up.
that's
But we were
possible.
talking about him making gains from England, and this line is nothing like that.
Yeah, this is giving up on England basically for the moment, anyway. So I mean, it's amusing to think that if he does let English Channel into North Sea here and move Norwegian round to North Atlantic Ocean, he does actually have an unopposed Mid Atlantic Ocean, right? Which might be why Ionian is moving to Tunis down here, which we hadn't discussed. It looks like
I
a
think they're
stab.
trading.
It looks like a stab on Italy. Actually, yeah, it does look like they're trading Venice for Tunis here. But that fleet being further west actually does help plug up Mao if they need to.
Which they need to. Whenever there's an army, a fleet in Norwegian, Mid-Atlantic Ocean is vulnerable.
Yep.
It's shocking and disgusting, but those fleets, those provinces are so big.
Yeah. I mean, this kind of ties into the whole Mid Atlantic Ocean as one of the most powerful provinces in the game because it's closer to everything than you think it is. But yeah, it goes the other way. Mid Atlantic Ocean can be taken very quickly by fleets that look like they're far away. Um, I think we've covered about everything here. Shall we go to fall 62?
Let's see some moves.
All right. In fall 1962.
Good turn for Russia.
Yeah, so you were correct on them just convoying back to Holland and deciding to set up their northern line here. They didn't. They tried to get back into Munich and didn't successfully do that.
Well, they were just defending Munich in the only way they could
Yeah,
because there was strength 3 on Munich, so they needed to support Tyrolia there.
and Tyrolia was getting tapped. Yes.
I'm kind of surprised they kept Tyrolia on in Piedmont instead of popping and rebuilding in
I
Warsaw
mean,
or something, but
it is quite nice to have the unit behind the line if you're going for a solo, right? Piedmont is it's next to a lot of unguarded centers here. There's no there is an Italian build coming because of Smyrna down here, but it certainly distracts the German units a bit with Marseille. And important to note, the swap we thought was going to happen with Venice and Tunis does not actually occur. They both move out. But they both stay even on that front. But yes.
yeah, I mean, except Austria went down 1 and Italy went up 1 anyways.
Yeah, we should mention this with the, this is where Russia has done well in the south here. He does lose Smyrna, but it feels like a temporary loss, right? There's not really enough Italian units there to keep it permanently, and he gains Romania and blows up that fleet in... he keeps Romania and takes Bulgaria, blowing up the fleet on the east coast.
And both of them were taken with an army.
Yep.
So suddenly Serbia is incredibly vulnerable, right? Almost a guaranteed capture if Austria wants it.
Yeah.
Budapest is not as vulnerable, but still quite vulnerable. So Greece is of course vacant. Yeah, awkward situation for Austria.
Yeah. And even in Italy with that unit in Piedmont, the Italian armies are going to have to scramble to contain that, right? Because you've got nothing in Venice right now and you can't build there. This is...
Yeah,
It ties down
Army
quite a lot.
Rome can cover Tuscany, and Trieste can go back to Venice to
Yeah.
stop Piedmont from taking any Italian. But then if you have to cover Marseille with Burgundy, suddenly Army Piedmont is trading for 3 armies while still potentially tapping Tyrolia. So
Yeah. I
kind of
think
like trading for 4 armies.
I think that's why you keep it on the board and don't rebuild it at home, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
But I suppose a build at home could still do a lot here. You've got a front to press in on over here. But yes.
Yeah, you've got a front pressure in the south, right? Army Sev can get to Armenia and then look to retake Smyrna relatively quickly. Fleet Sev can be useful if you're trying to break out in the south. Seems unlikely to me. Fleet St. Pete North Coast also looks great because this north is so thinly held by Germany. A little bit extra pressure might just pop Eddie. But Piedmont's a good unit, right? If I could instead like trade Ukraine or something for Fleet St. Pete, right? These are things that we'd be interested in, but we
Yeah.
didn't have that option, so I think it's fine.
Yep. And I mean, well, the possibility of Fleet St. Petersburg North Coast is probably exactly why this Austrian fleet is rushing through North Africa right now, trying to plug that gap. I think Russia doesn't actually go plus any centers, right? Because they lose Smyrna and gain Bulgaria. But
He
in
does not.
position, they're far above where they were. This
Yeah,
is...
probably. I agree.
Well, they're certainly far above where they were last year, right? But,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. North Sea is guaranteed locked using Norwegian and Denmark. There's only 3 German fleets, and those are the only northern fleets for a long time. It's going to take Tunis a year at least to start influencing this. And yeah, but they're not really going to make any progress in the north is their problem, to my
yeah,
eyes.
they've kind of locked that front up. By convoying back Yorkshire, they've given up any progress they can make there.
Yeah, they've secured their position, right? So they're being risk averse here. They're not going to lose anything for a long time, but they're also not going to get anywhere.
Okay,
Like I
incoming
don't,
convoy of Holland to Clyde.
and then lose North Sea. Okay.
You don't lose North Sea from that. You have Heligoland and Denmark to support hold it.
Oh, sorry, you just lose Holland.
You just lose
Oh,
Holland. Okay, yeah, but maybe that's not as good of a plan as I thought it was. But it would be quite good for blowing up Edinburgh.
it would be good for blowing up Edinburgh. Yes.
But yes, this is it's more of a lockdown front than something Russia can make gains from. Shall we move into the winter here?
Let's do it.
I don't know if anyone got any builds.
Italy.
Yes, Italy
Army Rome,
got
right?
Army Rome. Makes complete sense. This is
Let's see
technically
the
our power rankings turn, but I think it's fairly clear that Russia is just leagues ahead of everyone else right now.
Yeah, Russia is pressing for a solo.
Yeah, it's I think maybe the most interesting question here. I think it's still clear that Italy is probably in last place, right? Despite the fact they can take back Venice here, just Austria has more. Maybe Austria is below Italy actually. just because of all the Russian units around them. But I suppose if Austria dies, then Russia wins anyway. So that's not good for Italy.
Right, it's all so equivalent.
Yeah. But the way we have it right now, or we left it at the end of last session, was Russia in first, Germany in second, which is interesting given they now control none of their home centres, but I think they're still in a strong enough position that they'd be considered second here. And then Austria in third and Italy in fourth. I mean, I think Italy certainly improved from last time, because Italy last time had 3 centres and an Austrian fleet in Ionian, while all of their units were like on the front line. But, I mean, where would you put these 3 powers in relation to each other? None of this saying it's equivalent thing.
Supply count.
Supply count. So Germany, then Austria, then Italy. Right. Yep. Yeah, I feel like the Austrian dots are more easily lost than the Italians, but...
I agree, but he has to lose 2 dots before he's equal to Italy, and he's got this fleet in North Africa that's really important. They can't afford to let Austria completely die, because first of all, Russia would win, and second of all, Russia would win.
Yep. I also love the idea that this Austrian fleet is now in position to take and hold Portugal, potentially, if things start going badly on the other fronts.
Yeah, if Austria wants to survive, just getting into Portugal is a pretty good call, but survive doesn't do it, right? He's looking to solo.
Yep.
Right, so maybe he does take Portugal, but then he still backs out and goes north, and just hopes that Germany can live for a while. And I mean, honestly, Army Picardy's not the best unit. Germany might be able to hold without it.
I mean, Germany's already playing a unit down, right?
Yeah, Germany doesn't need that stinking dodge.
So it wouldn't be a terrible idea to just take a center and say, you know, I need this to maintain my units.
Brest would probably be the better choice then, right? Because Brest gets the English Channel.
Yeah.
So it gets thrown by ocean as quickly, and then it's fine. But maybe Germany would not let you take Brest, but Germany can't stop you from taking Portugal, really.
But, I mean, yeah, if you're playing selfishly, Portugal is probably the better choice, because you go, hey, look, I have Portugal now, what are you gonna do? You can't kill me, I'm Portuguese. This is the well-known phrase. So yes, we are leaving the power rankings in this order. No change this year, apart from the fact that...
I don't expect there to be many changes for a long time.
Alright, well...
It's gonna look like this.
Well, we'll find out. Shall we move into Spring 63? And... First thing that stands out to me is Russia does lose Romania, although it looks like it was a deliberate loss. They supported.
Russia really wanted to swap Bulgaria for Serbia here. So they backed out of Romania, assumed there was a self-bounce in Romania. This looks to me like Austria said his tactics in all chat for some reason. And then Russia's like, oh, that's what you're doing, eh? And then
Oh, right. Okay, so it kind of does make sense, because Austria would need to communicate to Italy that they need to cut Bulgaria, right, for this to work. The idea behind this Austrian defense is if we cut everything from everywhere, they can't support anything into anywhere. But Russia completely counters it here. The Russian could not have taken Budapest or Serbia with an attack because of these million cuts. But they decide to back out of Romania. They predict this double tap on Romania, and they add a support to one of the attacks to make sure that that unit goes through, when Austria is hoping that neither do. And suddenly, while the Austrian does have Romania, and now the Italian has Bulgaria, actually, so it's an interesting trade, but now the Austrian has a position, like, the Austrian has a Russian behind his line, in a really crucial spot.
While vacating Trieste.
Oh, so, boy. Yeah.
Serbia there's only 2 enemy units. There's only 2 Austrian units adjacent to Serbia that can attack, Budapest and Romania. It's trivial for Russia to cut both of those, Budapest and Romania. Serbia can even support one of them, and, like, My instinct would be something like Serbia supports Galicia to Budapest, Ukraine supports Sev to Armenia. Just something very dirt simple like that. Black Sea taps Poland, Syria taps Smyrna or something like. Just dirt simple. You're guaranteed to retake Romania, and you just say, "Hey, I'm in Serbia now. Your position's way worse. If you kick me out of Serbia, which I've made impossible this turn, I'm gonna retreat to Greece." Like, this is. I think this is a very good trade here from Russia, and this makes it seem much more likely that he does make progress on the east in the long run.
Yeah,
Uh,
and like we can't forget that unit in Piedmont, even though it looks likely to die here. Um, they would need to dedicate all those armies to blowing it up, and the fleet when there's a unit in Serbia right behind it. So having that unit behind the line is actually tying down so many units here. It's really worthwhile, I think.
yeah, and I mean, once he gets piffed, he just rebuilds it as a fleet, anyways, right? So it just took a year for 4 units to kill it. So wasted 8 moves for 2 moves, and it cut Tyrolia here, right? It was even useful because it bounced, it kept Munich Russian.
Yeah, I mean, mentioning that, let's mention the moves in the north here. Obviously, another thing, it tied down the unit in Burgundy here. It has to go to Marseille, and Picardy follows into Burgundy. But in addition, there's 2 cuts on Bohemia and Tyrolia. Silesia goes into Munich, and the fact that that Burgundy army had to go south suddenly means that Germany didn't get their home centre back. And the rest of the Russian moves not particularly effective. Well, North Sea going to Norwegian, Norwegian to North Atlantic Ocean could be important, but he does lose North Sea in the process, or at least he doesn't get back
Yeah.
into it.
This is a position, because of the Austrian fleet in North Africa, I would have much preferred to see Norwegian to Clyde if you're making this shuffle.
So that you can
Because
try and blow
now,
up the.
yeah, you just have a guess, right? Germany can defend Liverpool or Edinburgh, but not both. And so you have a guess, whereas now he can just have Yorkshire cover Liverpool, and you can't gain anything.
Yeah.
Normally, right, I think it would be worth it because you could get into Mid-Atlantic Ocean potentially. You're tying down English Channel to bounce you out of Mid-Atlantic. But because North Africa is covering Mid-Atlantic, there's just nothing to be done. So
Yep.
I think this is a missed opportunity.
Although Austria is going to have to take something off the board here, right? I
Yeah,
think.
it's like
And
Fleet Venice.
yeah, Fleet Venice probably makes the most sense, assuming you can get that Piedmont army blown up, which you presumably can.
Yep, my hope as as Russia here is that I'm gonna pop Romania this turn, right, with Galicia to Budapest, Serbia, um, also tapping Budapest, and then Ukraine supports Sev to Rum. It's just if Vienna supports Romania to Galicia, that breaks. But if you can pop Romania while Austria is down one, then it's suddenly very good.
Then yeah, you force Austria to have one less army on that front. That's huge in your solo run, because your solo run involves taking these centres, and they're harder to take the more Austrian armies are there.
Certainly.
But yeah, so possibly the worst part of the map for Russia right now is Turkey itself, with the Italian fleet in Bulgaria's south coast and the Italian fleet in Smyrna. But even there, they can't do a ton, right?
Nope. As long as Black Sea taps Bulgaria and Syria taps Smyrna, there's no progress to be made.
I mean, one of them could get into Constantinople then, which
Yeah, but if one
is
of them gets into if Smyrna gets into Con, then you end up in Smyrna, and you're
which is
totally fine.
great. Yeah,
And if Bulgaria ends up in Con, you're a little sad, but then they're not. They're only Bulgaria is already they're taking from you, so they're just going to be taking Con instead. So also not that bad.
yep. Plus, then they have nothing on Greece, right? Which is they have no fleets,
Yep,
which
very useful.
yeah. All right. Well,
This tactical guess here from Russia was very, very clean.
yep.
I'm certain, like, this is just not a moveset you make if you don't see what they're saying in all chat. Um, but
Yeah.
Man,
This is the differences of a public press game. I mean, I think you might guess that they're doing this. It does seem like the best way to prevent you making any gains, but it's certainly a hard guess to make. You're going very all in on this specific strategy being used.
yeah. Like, the fact that Galicia didn't tap Budapest, for example,
Yeah,
right? Like, because if hypothetically you thought that they would be having Serbia support Budapest into Romania, right, as a potential move, if you thought that was on the table, then you still want Galicia tapping Budapest, so they can't do it, right? Because
yes.
if they would take Romania from Budapest, well, you do these orders that you do as Russia, you just lose Romania, and they're still in Serbia. They've Budapest is open, but they're not in there, so you have no way to capitalize on it, right? So that's just one of those changes that I'm sure you would make if you were unsure of what was happening here. But instead, he's like, oh, I know what's going on. I can maximize the utility of all these units.
Yep. Right, well, yeah. This is absolutely, I think this is a play of the game. I mean, there's probably plenty, but this support here is pretty damn good for the Russian.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I think we don't have much more to discuss here, so we can move ahead to the fall.
Let's do it.
Okay. Fall of 63. Interesting tactics from the Russian. They decided to hold Constantinople instead of tapping Bulgaria here, but that's fine, I guess. Yeah, the outside of that, they valued blowing up the Bohemian army over blowing up Romania, which works out perfectly. They do manage to blow it up. And the Austrian is still going down one because of this retreat to Greece right here.
I believe Russia made a pretty huge misorder with Kiel.
Oh,
Kiel was supposed to support Hold Holland.
I don't think so, because Holland actually is hard to see on this map, but Holland moved to Ruhr. So Holland was trying to tap Ruhr, I think, to prevent it from supporting Burgundy into Munich. And Kiel was going to Holland to make sure that if Ruhr was going into Munich, then Belgium would not get into Holland.
I mean, I guess. Okay.
But yeah, it seems to have... that did not go very well. Yep. They do get a lot of builds at home due to this, right? They lost...
Well, they're currently neutral, right? They're minus Bull plus Serbia, but then Holland was popped, so aren't they only building one?
Huh. Piedmont was popped, right? But then they lost Holland. Oh, they lost Holland. So, actually, they don't build a ton, but interestingly, the person who took Holland is Germany, and then obviously they can't put any units down. So,
yeah, Germany's playing down too. Like I said, right, Holland is not that important. Munich is very important, so I think this actually makes some sense. Because Germany is still 2 years away from getting a build, right? They have to take Munich or Kiel next year, and then they have to have it be vacant the year after. So, yeah, I think from a strategic perspective, this move actually makes a lot of sense from Russia.
And they're slowly gaining positional advantage, forcing the North Sea here. Obviously losing Holland in the process, but when Germany can't build any armies out of it, that's not the worst loss, as you mentioned.
Combining it with popping Bohemia, right? So they're keeping the number of units on Munich down. There's still only 3 on it. Awkwardly, you only have 2 on Munich. Oh no, there's only 2 because
Ruhr moved to Holland. Germany maybe overcommitting on Holland here. I mean, it worked out well against the guesses, yeah. So that was probably the intention there.
Army Warsaw gets to Silesia, and then Munich still doesn't fall next year. It holds for another year.
Interesting to think. The correct move here for Austria probably was actually going mid-Atlantic Ocean to Portugal, given it didn't end up doing anything useful, and now he's going down a unit. He could have built in Trieste if he had gone to Portugal.
It would have been, especially because Germany is +2, right? There's no risk of Germany losing any units.
Yep.
So, yeah, mid-Atlantic Ocean taking Portugal here would have been very good. Hard to see, though. Might take off the German a bit.
Yeah, that's very possible.
And Italy is building again, right?
They do take Bulgaria. Yeah, don't lose anything. So yes, they're going another +1. At this point, probably a fleet, right, to try and go and get rid of that Russian army in Greece. You can't really
Yeah,
filter another army out the
reasonable.
top.
Counterpoint though, Austria it needs armies to defend himself,
Hmm.
and Austria can't. Maybe you can,
Yeah, but how are you
but
going to get them there?
yeah, Fleet Naples is just really, really useful. I was thinking, right, something stupid like Venice to Adriatic, and then it convoys you to Albania.
I don't think that's stupid, actually. I think that would be an interesting way of getting units out here. Then it could follow up into like Ionian and try and hold Greece. But
Yep. I want to get this fleet out of Venice and Trieste, okay?
I mean, that's been the story of the game, right? There's been so many fleets in Venice and Trieste, and they're always useless. I mean, Trieste you can understand because you have to build
Build
there. But if it
it.
stays
Why
in
do you
Trieste,
attack? Ugh. Right, that's why the Hedgehog sucks, because your fleet, you're just saying, I want my fleet to stay in Trieste. And if it doesn't stay in Trieste, it's in Venice. Woo!
yep, that's not very useful. Um, so I mean, all in all, pretty decent turn for the Russian, despite the blowing up of Holland in the north. They don't
From Armenia.
go. Yeah, their southern position is fantastic. This is this is the power of having units behind the enemy lines in Greece and such. You just they have to dedicate so much to trying to blow that up, and it's not working.
Yeah, but the retreat to Greece is really bad for Russia. He would much rather have an army in Serbia
yeah, there's
because there's so many fleets down here, right? If that army is in Serbia, then suddenly it can't be touched by a fleet build in Naples, right? Fleet build in Naples just goes to Ionia and then can cover Greece, sure, but it can't do anything. There's no loss to Russia not taking Greece. And Serbia could still cut Budapest, can still support, could still be very potent here. Like, just frankly, Bohemia is less important to defend the Austrian home than Serbia. Um,
yeah,
and we chose to pop Bohemia instead of popping Romania,
yeah. I mean,
which is now in Serbia.
could you have popped
Galicia to
Romania here?
Budapest.
Oh yeah, Galicia to Budapest would have worked fine on that. Aye. So I guess at this point, as the Russian, you probably want to try and maybe knock the fleet out of Bulgaria using that Greece army, or you just
Yeah,
tap Serbia and hope it does enough to disrupt the Austrian defense before it dies.
well, there's something to be said for actually having Romania support Greece to Serbia. Like, it's not impossible that works. Budapest doesn't cut Romania, then you're fine.
yeah,
Uh, and you can combine this with something like Galicia supports Bohemia to Vienna, and then suddenly, if Austria, if Italy doesn't support Vienna, then you're going to take Vienna or Serbia. Um, and then if they do, then you can still hold Munich. So they are kind of trading. Do they help Germany back into Munich, which you're really fine with if they do, because you want to take centers from the Austrian because Germany is not building, making Austria disband just crushes. I kind of like that, but it would just be way more potent if the army was in Serbia instead, right? Then you're probably favorite to take Vienna and Budapest this turn, right? This
yeah.
year. Serbia supports Romania to Budapest while Galicia cuts and Budapest is guaranteed. And then,
That's and also like the only units that can defend Greece would be Italian, so they'd be taking centers off the Austrian as well,
yeah,
which is even more painful for the Austrian and destroys their defense even more.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a tactical shot that I think the Russian just slightly missed.
yep.
That Budapest could support Romania back out to Serbia. But like, Vienna could have supported Romania to Galicia, right? That's a line they could have taken. But he was focusing on self-balancing Trieste because he wanted to build or something. I don't know.
I mean, self-balancing Trieste was just a defender, right? Against, well, he wanted to dislodge Serbia, and if you're dislodging Serbia, you can't let it into Trieste.
I mean, you let into Greece instead, I guess.
Well,
But
as you said, though, Greece is easier to deal
was
with.
that you let Bohemia get popped, right?
Yes. Well,
Russia's position is good. Could have been better. Austria's position is bad. Could have been worse. Also, could have been a lot better. Um, and really, I think the story is going to see, can Russia stall long enough until Mid-Atlantic Ocean plus Irish Sea can kick him out of Norwegian? Because once Russia loses Norwegian, his position in the north starts to fall apart.
yep. Well,
Munich,
sorry, go on.
yeah, and Munich. Frankly, Munich is also super at risk.
Yeah, that is the other danger there. Although they're still 2-on-2 for now. Bohemia plus Berlin against Burgundy plus Tyrolia, but you can't imagine the German won't bring these other armies in the lowlands over to assist soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to get the Army Warsaw over to Silesia, right?
Yes,
In order to hold it.
for
Man,
sure.
this is so awkward because now that you've lost Holland, right? So what's going to happen, right? Holland is gone. And so if Germany gets into Holland and Ruhr and Burgundy, then you need to use Denmark to support hold Kiel because you need to use Berlin, Bohemia, and Silesia to support hold Munich, right? Because Tyrolia, Ruhr, Burgundy can take Munich with 3. So Berlin can't. And then that means you're not using Denmark to support hold. Okay, you could use Denmark or Helgoland Bite, they're equivalent. And because of that, you then only got Norwegian Helgoland that. Oh, wait, Denmark moved even. There's nothing in Denmark. It has to be Helgoland. So the only thing supporting North Sea is Norwegian Sea. And
Yeah,
once you lose North Atlantic Ocean, presumably from Mid Atlantic Ocean, then Mid Atlantic Ocean, it will be North Atlantic Ocean, cuts Norwegian, and then you take North Sea from London, and Irish Sea covers Eddie, and suddenly Germany is guaranteed back in control of North Sea, and the North falls.
so the north is actually a lot worse than we initially said, right?
Because you lost Holland, right?
Yes. But the south is going well, but will it go well enough to offset this? I think it has to be like a race against time, right? Because you don't lose any German centers that soon. You just lose
Well, except
position.
maybe Munich,
Maybe Munich. That is true.
right? If they can support, if Vienna does a guess where Vienna supports Tyrolia and the Bohemia, while like Budapest cuts Galicia, and then Piedmont backfills Tyrolia, suddenly they're going to have 4 on Munich, and you can't hold it.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that
that's awkward.
could
But
be
I mean, look,
bad.
if you take Vienna, Budapest, Trieste, Serbia, and Bulgaria, and Smyrna, that's just it. You can lose Munich and Denmark and Kiel, and you're still soloing. You got to take them fast.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's move ahead to the winter here, I guess.
Let's
See
see the
what the
build.
builds are.
Sev?
Sevastopol, I guess, to focus
What?
on taking Smyrna? Why do you need Sevastopol? This is if you just give up on the German homes, right? I suppose you could send Galicia up to Cilicia and then... No, because then you're giving up the advantage you have on Austria right now. You can't afford to let this position go. That seems odd. Maybe the Russian values holding Turkey over getting the Austrian centers, but that just feels incorrect. Army Warsaw is just feels better here.
So here's what I'm trying to see. So Army Sev, if it goes to Armenia and takes Syria, it takes Smyrna with Syria, basically is getting you a dot, right? That's just basically guaranteeing it's going to replace itself this year.
Yes.
Is Army Warsaw guaranteed to do so? And I believe it is less guaranteed to instantly replace itself. Because if it goes to Silesia, like we said, there's still this risk of Vienna supporting Tyrolia to Bohemia. So in order to ensure that your army in Warsaw actually has utility, you need to use Galicia to cut Vienna. And if Galicia then taps Vienna, you're not making any progress against the Austrian. If you essentially concede Munich, which this is basically doing, because now they're just going to get into Ruhr and still be in Tyrolia, and then there's no problems, then do you have a punishing enough attack on Austria? I just don't believe you do. There's too much guesswork.
I
I
mean,
mean, he outguessed him once.
so basically what you're saying is this is a guess saying, okay, I'll sacrifice my position on this front temporarily because I'll get the gains in the south to rebuild and push, or at least hold in the north more effectively, right?
Yeah, it's just awkward because taking Smyrna doesn't give you anything positionally, right? Like, yeah, you take Smyrna. Congratulations. Then what?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe it will
It
work.
retreats to Eastern Med. It's not like you're gonna free up these units. If that's an army and you're trying to pop Smyrna, okay, there's a lot of value in popping an army there, but the fleet's just retreating to Eastern Med. Bulgaria's retreating to Aegean. Like these units are still tied up. I don't know.
Well,
I don't get it. Well, let's see how it works out, eh?
yeah, I guess so. We should mention the other build here, which is Fleet Naples. Seems like the correct one. As you said, there was a possibility of building an army and getting it convoyed over by the Austrian fleet, but this just feels better with the ability to attack Greece and just plug up that hole in the Aegean right now. Although doesn't really need plugging up. That's just for more pressure on the Turkish front. So yeah, let's move ahead to the spring of 1964. I mean, okay.
It's a good use for Sev.
Yeah, so it gets convoyed over into Bulgaria to fill up this line while the Ukraine backfills Romania. It's an interesting one. And I think this saves Greece, right? Maybe it doesn't, but it can definitely help pull it up into Serbia.
I mean, Smyrna's gonna be tapping Bulgaria, right? Or the fleet that was in Smyrna, now in Constantinople, is gonna be tapping Bulgaria.
Right, yes.
So that army Bulgaria is not particularly useful. I mean, you're probably honestly just supporting it back into Khan. But then if you, oh, okay, I was thinking you support Bulgaria back into Khan, and then you have Black Sea cover Ankh. But then, oops, I just let it retreat into the Black Sea.
Yeah, that's problematic.
Yeah.
You don't really want to lose the Black Sea still.
Oh, jeez. Dude, the moveset of Galicia to Vienna, while Romania supports Greece to Serbia,
Oh, that would have just devastated this.
that's
Wow.
a that's a big one.
And like they had to have coordinated this, right? Because Tyrolia supported Vienna to Bohemia.
Yeah,
I suppose that's a move that you can take or leave as Austria. You just tell the
maybe, but it
Italians,
means
but
that you're telling them that Munich doesn't have any threat.
yes.
Right?
I mean, maybe that's why they didn't build in Warsaw. If they discussed this kind of plan in the build phase, Russia maybe thought, I don't need to get to Cilicia quickly. So, yeah. So, I mean, Russia is in Budapest. It's definitely not as good as Greece to Serbia and the move to Vienna would have been. In fact, that might have just outright won them the game, right? If they had done that.
Maybe,
Because
but
they're
that's like
taking. So they're on 14 right now. They're taking Holland. They're taking Bulgaria. They would have taken Serbia and Vienna with this. And they're taking Smyrna, losing Constantinople, which is 18, I think.
yeah, but like they're gonna lose Greece in
Yeah,
the
okay.
fall, and Vienna is probably going to be lost in the fall. There's a chance you could leverage it into Trieste or something, but with Army Piedmont, Fleet Adriatic, it seems unlikely.
Yeah.
My feeling is this convoy Sev into Bulgaria, it looks kind of snazzy, but they didn't get into Romania. They only bounced Serbia out. And how much more valuable is Bulgaria than Romania? Not that much. Like, they could have done something like Black Sea supports Greece to Bulgaria, and then Ukraine supports Sebastopol to Romania, quite simply. And then you could have even comboed this with building in Warsaw, right? And then they still have an army in whatever. This is fine. This is a position. I don't expect Russia to get enough progress in the south. I think Russia's about to be stopped.
Well, I mean, the difference between Bulgaria and Romania right now is that Bulgaria is Italian and Romania is Russian, right? So getting into Bulgaria gives you that +1 dot. If you're trying to race for 18, it seems like a better choice, but can you race for 18 right now? It's an interesting question. It seems theoretically possible, but it's just difficult, especially now with the Italian fleet in Constantinople that can just take Ankara if you dislodge that. So you're not going to get anything new from Turkey. And yeah, your army in Greece is in a bit of a precarious spot.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like this turn you have to have. Oh, there's no. Yeah, so I was gonna say you need your army Romania to support Greece into Serbia, because we expect Piedmont to Albania this turn, and we expect Khan to Bulgaria, and Aegean supports Ionia into Greece. Right?
Yep.
Army Greece is popped, and I believe there is nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, it seems so. You've got nothing that can cut those fleets, and like nothing that can support you up to Serbia as long as they're tapping Budapest.
I'm assuming they're tapping Budapest.
But like tapping Budapest has its own problems here because Vienna is not defended. Well, no, Vienna
Yeah,
can
but
easily be defended with the. Never
there's
mind.
Tyrolia and Bohemia.
Yeah.
And there's only one unit adjacent to Trieste, Budapest, so there's no risk of losing Trieste.
Yeah, so I guess this is less good for the Russian than it initially appears. It's still good, but it's not like solo good right now.
No, it doesn't even look good.
I
To
mean,
me, I think we lost all of our leverage. We needed to keep Greece alive.
you
Right?
can't
We needed to get Greece into Serbia.
you can't say it's not good when you've got Budapest, right?
Yeah, you can.
That's
Absolutely. 'Cause what's next?
Budapest is
comes
quite
next?
good.
Huh? It's not. If you don't go anywhere with it, right? There is no tactical progress from here. Right?
Oh, hang on. What if you
Yeah.
go Bulgaria to Constantinople with support from Smyrna? You cover Ankara with the Black Sea. Yes, you lose Black Sea in the process. Actually, that's really bad. But then you pull
Yeah.
Greece up to Bulgaria and just hope you hit 18 this turn.
Okay. So let's say this all works. So you get plus Bulgaria, plus Smyrna,
Plus
let's
Budapest.
assume Budapest, which seems likely, right? Plus Budapest, that's plus 3.
You've got
Plus
Holland
Holland, +4.
guaranteed.
Right? Minus Greece,
Oh yeah,
so +3.
you need to take one
Um,
more.
Potentially minus Munich, +2. Can you take Eddie? Yeah, you could probably take Eddie, right? Norwegian Sea supports North Sea to Eddie, while now taps live. So that's +3. And if they don't take
Yeah.
Munich to get there, okay.
Yeah, maybe that's a bit
Maybe they
too
don't go
all
after
in.
Munich. But what else are you gonna like? I think from here, I think you're completely right. I think from this position, that is absolutely the best move for Russia to make, because there's a chance that they decide not to try to take Munich this turn.
I
Right?
mean,
Maybe they go after Holland, and you guess right.
the problem is if you do let that retreat into Black Sea happen, you just completely destroy yourself, right? There's
But
no
you're
your
destroyed anyway.
chances
You already
past
destroyed yourself this turn, right? We can't win from this position. Our only hope is they make a mistake right now.
that. I mean, yeah, I guess so.
I love your idea. I think it's fantastic. And like honestly, even if you're going plus a couple, right? You're going to be able to build a fleet in Sev anyways, and so you're going to be able to kick the fleet out of Black Sea. It's going to be annoying and a pain, but not that annoying, right? It's going to probably get popped next year.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, I think that's definitely correct, and I think like there's a chance that 17 gets you to a winning position. You can leverage it hard enough. There's definitely a chance.
Yeah.
right? In my order moveset, by taking Edinburgh, then suddenly you're losing North Sea as well. So it's possible that you change it up so you don't also sacrifice the North Sea. You instead say, I'm only going to go to 16 this turn, only +2, but I'm going to be able to take Eddie later because there's no risk if you lose the North Atlantic Ocean, so Eddie's a conquer whenever you want.
Yeah, the problem with that is you're probably not going to peak again
Yeah,
anytime
I mean,
soon.
there's a chance, like, they're disbanding, right? Who knows what they disband, right? Mistakes can happen.
That's true.
I think your moveset gives you a possibility of a solo after this. It just looks unlikely to me. It looks really, really tough. But yeah, if you just go all in to say we've taken a bunch of dots, maybe that's enough to get me there. I think that's a viable strategy.
I mean, have we really talked enough about? I mean, we've missed out a lot of discussion about the north here, but I feel like there's not a huge amount to talk about up here. It's just a
I
lot of
mean,
tactical play.
in my opinion, the big move that's worth discussing actually is Irish Sea to English Channel instead of supporting Mid Atlantic Oceans, North Atlantic
Oh
Oceans.
yes, that is actually huge.
All right, this is a scaredy cat move.
The,
He's a scaredy cat. He's saying, I don't want to let Russia into the English Channel.
I mean, to be fair, I think I'd be a scaredy cat there too.
Yeah, but y'all are scaredy cats.
If
Irish
Russia
Sea
gets
support Mid
into the
Atlantic
English
Ocean,
Channel,
North
that's
Atlantic Ocean.
really bad, especially if you've just pushed Mid Atlantic Ocean up to North Atlantic Ocean so you can't cover Brest.
I mean, Marseille to Gascony.
Actually, what the correct move is if you want to cover English Channel here, it's probably London to English Channel. You've got Army Yorkshire.
Yep. I
So,
mean, London to the English Channel or Marseille to Gascony, like, there are ways to do it, but you really don't. You got to push him back a bit, right? And then if you take North Atlantic Ocean while you're still in Irish Sea and you have an army in Liverpool that ends up there, then like you can just pop Clyde. I mean,
yep.
and suddenly Russia is getting completely wrecked in the north. And I mean, what did tapping? So London tapping North Sea meant that they couldn't take Eddie from Norwegian, and you were covering Liverpool with Yorkshire. So that's the guess. That's why he did this. But like, whatever, dude. I would. Germany's a scaredy cat. Scaredy, scaredy,
I
scaredy
mean,
cat.
yes, that's fair. Looking at it at this point, I think they should have gone London to English Channel if they were going to cover it. Like, North Sea to London is so unlikely here. It's
And like,
possible,
even
but
if it
even if
happens,
it,
what's the
yeah.
downside?
Yeah, you don't really. You probably do lose London, especially if you're going Yorkshire to Liverpool, but only for a
All right,
year.
so let's live in the world where Irish Sea supported Mid Atlantic Ocean, the North Atlantic Ocean, right, and then it retreats into Clyde.
Yep.
Like, what's the risk if they take London, right?
They.
London's an English Channel. Okay, like I don't know.
I mean, the risk is
I
that they hit 18, right? I feel like that's what everyone is worried about right now. So every centre feels like it matters, including Brest here.
okay,
But
maybe then you don't send Yorkshire to Liverpool, and then if they retreat to
yeah,
Liverpool, you've got North Atlantic Ocean, Irish Sea, and you're fine. And then London, you to retake whatever.
yeah, that actually makes sense. But
It's
yeah,
fine, right? It's the world we're living in, right? Like I understand they're at 14 centers, it's terrifying, but 14 is not 18, and the position matters a lot. Like if you play scared when someone's at 14 and you want to stop them from ever taking a center again, and you commit everything to stop them from taking a dot, you're gonna let people solo on you because they're just gonna keep playing for position. They're just gonna keep improving, and eventually they're gonna beat you.
I mean,
You can't.
to be fair, this is in the case that there's not a stalemate line, right? Playing scared when there's a stalemate line is fine. But against a Russian like this, no, you have to push them back.
When there's a stalemate line, right? But they're even being scared. No, you're just like, oops, I stalemated you. I fell back ass backwards here into this line, and now you're done. But
Yeah.
whatever. I want to see. I want to see some more moves.
All right, let's go into the fall here. Oh, they kind of went for my moveset. They went Bulgaria to Constantinople, but they did not follow it up with Greece. They went to Greece to
No, but
Serbia.
instead Greece got into Serbia, which is something I'd be much happier with.
But it actually worked. They got into Serbia.
Oh my god. Russia could have supported Budapest into Vienna with Galicia.
They could
Oh
have.
my god.
Wait, hang
Unbelievable.
on. Why did the Austrian and the Italian bounce in Vienna? What?
Unbelievable.
This is...
What a world. Could you imagine? I think is the game just over if he does that?
Let me count here. He's going plus Holland. He's going plus Belgium. He just got into Belgium as well. Plus Smyrna. Plus Serbia. Minus Greece. Yeah, he kept them out of Munich. So plus Vienna would have been 18, I think. That would have just been game there and then.
Smyrna, Serbia, Budapest. No, not Budapest.
Not Budapest.
But Vienna.
Holland and Belgium.
Belgium. That sounds to me like plus 6, putting them at 20. Minus Greece, plus 5.
Something's not... Something doesn't add up here.
Minus Greece. Minus Greece.
I feel like I counted plus 4.
So the centers that they gained this turn, right, were Serbia,
Yes.
Smyrna,
Yep.
Holland, Belgium.
Yep. And they would have gained Vienna if they had pushed Budapest into it. They lost Greece, so they would have gone plus 4. They actually go plus 3, and that plus 1 is the difference between 17 and 18, which is the difference between a win and not a win. Man.
If Galicia supports Budapest into Vienna, he just wins the game right here.
And the tournament. Wow. Just wow, he cuts 40 years off of this game if he swaps these two orders around. Right here. Holy hell. That's gotta feel
bad. What moves are they inputting that lets this happen?
Yeah, okay, so Bohemia and Tyrolia make no sense.
So Trieste supporting Serbia into Budapest, right? This is the start of awkwardness, right? Because maybe this was more dangerous than I thought it was.
Because, like, you're cutting Bulgaria, you're cutting Greece, so Serbia isn't under threat unless you push it into Budapest. I guess they thought, okay, if we don't push it into Budapest, it's not doing anything because it's... any support is going to be cut.
Trieste support hold Serbia. Theoretically. You're fine, right?
You don't even need to support hold Serbia, do you? You just need to do Trieste cut Budapest, because you're already cutting the two on the other side. So...
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
Yeah, then you're safe. You're just giving up a censor by doing this.
Trieste to Serbia. And then, instead of Greece... Yeah, okay.
But okay, this isn't the move that enabled the solo. I think the move that enabled the solo was neither of Tyrolia or Bohemia supporting each other.
Because these two moves needed to be done in concert, right?
Yes.
Like, because this way you would have kept Serbia instead of letting the army Greece that was previously going to retreat to Albania. Instead, it's taking a center, right? So that's a center you're giving Russia for free. That Russia shouldn't have gotten. And then, yes, we also potentially gave Russia Vienna, which is a center he shouldn't have got. But he didn't even get it.
If you're giving Russia Vienna here... Like, okay, so... First off, they could have supported either one of these units into Vienna.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing they could have done. The second thing they could have done is have Tyrolia just support Burgundy to Munich, because that works every time.
Guarantee the capture of Munich. Yes.
That always brings the Russian down one. It gives the German back a home center, which is incredibly important right now.
Yeah, we were just in all of our analysis, we were assuming Munich was lost because Munich was lost. Right?
Yep.
When discussing this situation, you said that they're going to support themselves in Munich. I mean, yeah, this is how solos happen, right? People make mistakes. If everyone plays perfectly, no one's ever going to solo. But yikes, dude! From this position, though, there's an army in Greece. Budapest got popped. And Germany's not disbanding, right? Germany's just keeping his army in Picardy now. And -2, but I believe Germany was already playing down 2. 1, 2,
Yep.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, maybe not. 1, 2,
I think there
3,
were.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I count 9 units on the board.
Hang on.
1, 2, 3,
3, 4.
4.
I see 8 German units.
Oh, I was cutting North Sea and English Channel. Yes.
Okay.
Units don't. Okay. Nope. Yep. So yeah.
Yep, the
Germany's not
units don't duplicate. We've had this discussion.
Yes.
But yes.
So Belgium is going to be lost.
This was... Yeah.
Well, I mean, I said Russia can't go anywhere from the previous position, and Russia clearly went places because these people are lunatics. Clearly, there's no way Russia can advance from here. I know that they can't because there are 17 centers, and if they advanced from here, the game would have ended. So
This
they
is
clearly
true.
can't.
I
It's
mean,
all downhill from here.
but man, this is by far the closest anyone's gotten. The fact that if these 2 moves had changed, this game would be over. That's huge.
Yeah, I would be on tilt if I had made that mistake and then didn't solo and won my game as Henry because of it.
Yeah, man.
If
I mean,
I was everyone else in the game, I would also be unbelievably tilted at Austria and Italy.
so
would
everyone
be-
else in the game being Germany right now.
No. I mean everyone else basically in the tournament.
Oh, in the tournament, yeah.
Really the only one who'd be pissed is Italy, right? Because Italy's the one who needed them to not solo, right? Italy wasn't even playing to survive, wasn't playing for a draw, wasn't playing for anything. They just needed to not let anyone solo, and they did.
Yeah, all they needed to do was Tyrolia support Burgundy to Munich, and none of this would have been possible.
They can't actually solo if you do that, but whatever. They did it. It didn't matter.
Yep.
That's not the world we're living in.
But yeah, Germany actually being in North Sea here is very important, so maybe having gone to English Channel was a good thing here. I mean, they could have actually held Belgium by support holding it here. That's something they did.
Yeah, but they were trying to take Munich. They should have taken Munich,
Yeah.
right? They needed this unit to take Munich. It just happened to be that Austria and Italy did not agree on who was doing what, right? Because someone needed to cover Vienna and someone needed to support them into Munich. And clearly, in my eyes, Bohemia covers Vienna and Tyrolia supports Burgundy to Munich. But whatever. Anything works as long as they agree on it.
Man.
Oh my God.
Just man. Okay, so important thing here now. Russia is on 17, but now they have an Italian fleet in the Black Sea down here, which is problematic. They have a German fleet in the North Sea up here, which is also problematic because they don't really have any defense past it. And, I mean, can they make more gains? Greece is kind of locked down now. Well, we know that they don't make any more gains to get to 18 here, right? Because of the way this works.
Let's actually do the analysis, right? So Russia's the only one building, right?
Yeah, and Russia is going +3 units, I think. Unless they got... No, they got...
They got Budapest pops, but they're still at 17, so they're building 4.
They're building 4 units right now.
Right,
Okay. So Fleet Sebastopol is good. It does deal with that fleet in Black Sea a bit.
Yeah, Fleet Sebastopol is critical. Fleet St. Pete North Coast looks critical as well. Got to get it into Norway, cover North Sea.
Yep.
And then those are the fleet builds. Now let's build some armies.
But then where do you make gains? You're still losing Munich. They're not going to make the same mistake again here. You can't really push anywhere in the north.
So the way that you might make progress into Munich would be if you can support Silesia into Bohemia, and then pop it, and then Warsaw into Silesia.
Yeah.
No, but then sure when he gets into Munich from Burgundy, and then Marseille ends up in Burgundy. Yeah, you're losing Belgium too. Yeah.
I do love that because of this random three-way self-bounce in Vienna, the correct move for Austria was again to go to Portugal here. And get the build.
Well, he's
oh
down
no,
one,
he's
right?
yeah, he's down one, so not have the disband. I suppose actually he can afford to disband Adriatic. That's fine.
Now that it's convoyed Venice out, yes. It can.
Yeah. So never mind about Portugal. There's being in Mid-Atlantic Ocean is probably more important.
Also, Portugal would have forced the German disband, so Portugal would have actually been terrible.
Oh. Oh, yes, it would. I've just been thinking, okay, there's no way the German units can disband now, because, he was playing 2 up, but he just lost
German
Holland
lost
and
over.
Belgium. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we're kind of done lamenting over the Russian. It wasn't even the Russian misorder, the Italian-Austrian misorder that almost won Russia the game right here. Man, I thought if something was going to get someone this close, it would have been an NMR and not an outright mistake like this. But hey, I suppose after what this would have been maybe 2.5 years in real time,
I don't think so. I don't think we're there yet. I think
No,
we're like
it would be like.
I think we're a year and a half, right?
It's about halfway through, so we'll be nearing the 2-year mark. It's past halfway. It went on for 3 years and like 7 months, something like that. But yes. So, yeah, I mean, shall we move ahead to builds? See what these Russian builds are?
Let's see it.
Alright. Fleet
What?
South Coast.
Misorder.
I mean,
Made a mistake. He meant to build it on the north coast.
if you're planning to defend Baltic Sea, I guess maybe it's important. Maybe you expect North Sea to give Skagerrak here, and then no, because then you still would want to go to Norway. Okay, North Coast would have been better, I think.
Right, dude meant to build it north coast. Like, yeah, this gets to Baltic Sea faster, but it gets to Sweden at the same speed. It doesn't cover Norway. Yeah, no. Right, you get to Denmark obnoxiously at the same speed from the north coast.
Yep. I mean, you
Right.
do have to go through provinces that you probably can't get through to do that.
I mean, you're saying you don't want to. You'd rather them take Norway?
Yeah, okay. Probably. Well,
yeah.
I mean, maybe you just want to pull Norwegian back to Norway and North Atlantic back to Norwegian at this point. In which case this makes more sense.
Why are you pulling out of North Atlantic?
That's a good question. And one I don't have the answer to.
Yeah, we're keeping our position. You can't touch me. I'm invincible. I'm moving to Irish sheep, baby. Don't cut English Channel. You're not gonna what? I'm probably not. I'm probably staying in North Atlantic Ocean because I want Norwegian Sea to be uncuttable. So.
Oh man. So yeah, this is
Okay, but now that you're not building in North St. Pete North Coast, now I think you are moving Norwegian Sea back to Norway and North Atlantic Ocean to Norwegian.
yeah, because you need to cover yourself against this
Yeah,
these German
I'm
attacks.
going to support Eddie into Norwegian, and then I'm going to have 2 on Norway.
Yeah. Okay, so power rankings. Do you think Russia might be in first here?
Nah.
No, Austria's clearly above them, right? This is a very
Austria's
Austria-sided
down to 4.
situation. Yeah. I mean, actually, joking aside, I think Italy and Austria probably switch around on our power rankings here, right? Austria is not in a good spot.
Okay, but neither is Italy. Bulgaria's lost. Greece is going to be tough to hold.
It's still better than the Austrian centers, and
Austria has Mid-Atlantic Ocean, dude.
Italy can take Venice whenever they want to, right? The
Yeah, and
Mid-Atlantic
Mid-Atlantic
Ocean.
Ocean can take Portugal whenever they
Okay.
want. I don't know. I think it's fine. I think it's reasonable to put Italy higher. I feel like Fleet Black Sea doesn't really count as a unit because it's going to get popped.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking about Mid-Atlantic taking Portugal. That might swap my power rankings over, because Austria can keep units maintained that way.
They're both similar, right? They're both small 4-5 dots. Neither one can really do anything. They're just trying to survive. Like, yeah, Budapest is certainly lost, right? So that's a fair argument in favor of Italy over Austria.
Yeah. Okay, so actually, let's say they're more or less even.
But we don't do
But
even.
we don't do even, so the tiebreak is going to be who messed up the worst last turn. Because they're clearly the slightly worse player, and therefore they will go underneath the other one.
Yeah, clearly Austria.
Okay, Austria is now in last place on our power rankings. But these two are basically even. In fact, I'll make a big gap between. In fact, let's do this a little bit. So, there, Austria and Italy right at the bottom, big gap, then Germany, and then much bigger gap, and then Russia at the top there. On 17. In fact, I think Russia is so high up that they basically cover where it says power rankings up here. Oh, no, that doesn't look aesthetically pleasing. Let's put them a bit further down.
Sure.
But yeah, 17. Man. Oh, I'd be so sad about that Budapest to Vienna. Oh.
Yeah, I'm sad too.
After 64 years, how do you miss order like that? Just to, like, you nearly gave the game away. Oh, well, that was at Italy and Austria, not at Russia. Like, I think Russia did an amazing job to get to this point, and to nearly win there, it's just gotta be feeling so bad not managing to get there.
Unbelievably painful.
Alright, well, shall we go ahead to 65 here?
Yeah, let's see it.
Alright. Spring 1965. And Russia's units in Serbia gets blown up. That is the first thing that stands out to me.
Russia is back into North Sea.
Oh my god. Russia keeps Munich.
Dude, Russia, like, walks in there. Russia is in Munich, and with 3 defending Munich. So, like, yeah.
The Italian unit in Tyrol just, like, walks out into Vienna, which I suppose is reasonable to hold the Austrian line, but you're going, okay, Germany, you know, stay on your not home centre dots. I'm still not giving you Munich back, despite the fact I clearly can.
From Italy's perspective, right, if you can hold, right, if Germany can never build again, and you stop Russia from soloing, then Italy wins. Because
this is true.
Austria can't solo, and Russia won't solo. So it's not unreasonable as Italy from the tournament perspective to say, I'm willing to let Germany stay stuck. But from the stop and the solo perspective, you're like, I'm sweating here a little bit because, like, yes, Russia just lost both of the lowlands, and so Russia's probably not going to get there. Russia pulled out of North Atlantic Ocean, out of Norwegian Sea, right? I think Russia made his move, he made his play, and is now just going to try to reconsolidate the line.
Yeah.
Right, so can, like, get back into Denmark and Baltic Sea and Berlin and whatever, and then just say, all right. Fine. Just feels bad.
Important thing I just noticed here, Russia does actually have London guaranteed right now. They're in North Sea and nothing else is adjacent to it.
Hilarious.
But, like, why would you push English Channel into Belgium here instead of Picardy?
Why not take from Picardy?
That feels like a mistake. It's
yeah,
just
definitely a mistake.
There's so much less you can do with Belgium. Well, no. Yeah, there's so much less you can do with Belgium with it being a fleet. The main advantage is that it's a fleet adjacent to North Sea, but English Channel was already that, so...
Yeah, so first of all, right, Fleet English Channel is probably better than Fleet Belgium, but also Army Belgium is way better than Fleet Belgium.
Yeah.
Right. So you traded a good unit for a bad unit, and, like, Army Belgium compared to Army Picardy? Good God, it's so much better. So, like, we just down-traded a unit instead of up-trading a unit, which is a terrible feeling.
Yeah, maybe he just...
Why.
No, I was gonna say maybe he just wants to come abreast, but you can do that with English Channel as well. What is...
Yep.
But, yes, okay, so... Despite Germany going +2 centres here, they're probably losing London, so it's only +1, and they still can't build anything. So they've gotten worse position, and positioning is the only thing that matters for them right now. That's just painful. Russia has, like, completely solidified their lineup here, pretty much, by giving up the lowlands. They've taken North Sea, they've gone into Kiel, Denmark, Norway, they're getting another unit through. That line is going to be hard to crack, especially now with Italy moving away from Tyrolia. So it kind of feels like they've just gone... Yeah, Germany's never getting anywhere. Yeah. Doesn't matter if they gain centers, which is fair.
Yeah, and so now if Austria and Italy are the only ones making progress against Russia, then Italy is in great shape.
Yep. And yeah, Italy can still take Venice whenever. Well, they can't right now because they're in Vienna instead, but being in
Yeah,
Vienna instead is quite good.
time.
Yeah.
Vienna gets to retreat into Trieste, and they move on with their lives.
Yep. Man. So the only downside for Italy right now is they're about to get their fleet in Black Sea blown up, but hey, that was probably going to happen anyway. They're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I mean, certainly a reasonable spot to not get eliminated and to stall out the solo for as long as possible, but they sadly have to build another fleet still, keep their fleet superiority.
Yep. This is true. Yeah. They're not losing Bulgaria anymore, right? Because they're probably going to push Greece up into it. Now that they managed to hold it a turn.
Once Serbia gets popped, Bulgaria is not going anywhere.
Yep. And
yeah, I mean, this is where we see the Russian position just completely go away, right? It's why it's so important that they took Vienna last turn. If Russia's position was a position from still strategic and tactical strength, then it wouldn't matter if they didn't so last turn, because they're still probably going to go +1. But this is just not that position. Like, they have too many units not optimally positioned, and they just lost units in the front lines to disband. So
yeah. Well,
like the lowlands, for example, with an army in rear, a hostile army in rear, and you have nothing to support it on land, is just awkward, right? You lost North Sea and English Channel to take the lowlands, so they're guaranteed lost again. Serbia is surrounded by a billion hostile armies, etc., etc.
Yep. It's gonna be a while till Russia can come back from this, I think. This is,
Yeah, Russia's gonna get knocked back a lot. But it's gonna be interesting if we see Russia choose to stop Germany from making any progress, then this game could stall out. So I believe you're going to see Russia let Germany make progress.
the thing is, like, if you prevent Germany from making progress, what does that do to the balance of power? It gives Italy a lot of power. Oh man, if Italy needed to solo, this would be a completely different game, because then Italy has to go west and try and take German centers, and then Russia has their solo opportunity again, right? Because they can try and hop on the bandwagon for that attack and take German centers out of it.
But Italy...
Yeah.
Italy says, I'm content in the Mediterranean.
Yeah, they're never going to go anywhere. That's... Yeah, so I guess we'll see where it goes from here. Shall we move ahead to the fall?
Let's do it.
Okay, fall 1965. Well, you know when you said last turn you were going to the Irish Sea with with the Russian fleet? This Russia's a turn late, but they do go there. And now actually Mid-Atlantic Ocean leaves. So if you can pull that London fleet into English Channel, you've got a shot at Mid-Atlantic Ocean here as Russia, which is fun. Oh man, Russia lost Kiel. Germany got a home centre back. That's actually quite big for the German, even though they would have to try and like keep it vacant to build, which is painful and difficult, but just having a home centre back is a big boon over not having a home centre.
Yeah, and Russia is just also down 3 now. Right.
Yeah.
Pulling 3, which just makes it difficult.
So they lost Serbia, but they also got the unit blown up in Serbia. They lost Belgium, Holland, and Kiel, so they just went down from 17 to 13. No, because they went plus London, so it's to 14, but it's still
excuse me, I forgot about London, that's right. That's right, they're only pulling 2.
Yeah, but that's still painful. I love the fancy way they blew up that fleet in Armenia down in the south.
Yeah, it gets their fleet in Ankara into Khan, right? Gets
Yep,
it out a time sooner.
that's the correct move on that front. You want to rotate the fleets through to the front. And yeah, this covers it perfectly. It's just a very fancy convoy maneuver.
Yeah, I mean, look, it had its cost, namely Bulgaria, right? Russia could have, like, Romania cut Serbia, Balkan support Black Sea to Bulgaria, and then you have Ank support 7 to Armenia, or flip that,
Yep.
right? And then you bounce them, right? You bounce their progress into Bulgaria, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been quite good. But, like, the Russian did actually just slip into Tyrolia as well. Something I hadn't mentioned.
Yeah.
But, actually is quite interesting, especially with the unit in Vienna now being Italian. The Austrians gotta be feeling a little bit uncomfortable about his position here. He's getting very close to being an Italian vassal. And he can't even cover Venice. That has to be either the German in Piedmont or a new Italian build. So yeah, he's even worse off on that front.
Italy is placing 2, by the way.
Oh, they got Vienna, right?
Yep.
Oh, and they got blown up in Armenia, yes. So probably like Army Rome, Fleet Naples. Feels correct. Maybe Army Naples because you convoyed over to Albania or Greece or something, but that's gotta make...
Trying to stop the solo, I would build 2 armies.
But you do make Austria a bit uncomfortable doing that, right?
No, you tell Austria, I don't care about eliminating you. I'm keeping you in the game. You're not dying.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. And Austria probably knows who you are, so knows it makes sense. Yeah. Well, this is how the Russian solo attempt falls, with thunderous loss of German centers in the lowlands.
Yeah.
But they're still not in a terrible position, it's just not a solo position anymore. Not by a long shot. And
I mean, they were in a solo position before by a long shot anyways, and yet they still were a move away from soloing.
yes.
So, who knows what can happen, man?
Yeah, mistakes and miscoordination, miscommunication can do that.
What's the reason, Survivor? Anything can happen?
Oh yes, it is. Always a good quote to live by. Yep, anything can happen in diplomacy. It's the new motto here. And certainly anything can happen in a 100-year game. We've still got 40 years left. Well, 39 now, I think. If I'm... No, more than that. Never mind, it's 40. I think it's 40.
An undeterminate amount of time.
There's some years left. People are tired of listening to us rambling. No, they probably aren't, because they've gotten this far in the series. But, yeah, anything more to talk about here? German maneuvers into a pretty nice position now that they... they just gained 3 supply centers and they can't build anything.
Yeah, they really need to try to leverage this into taking Munich. Right, Munich is clearly the best center to get because there's no naval units adjacent.
Yeah, should be noted, despite them taking Kiel, there's like 0 chance they get to build there with all these Russian units adjacent to it.
Yeah, I mean, Kiel is just lost, right? It's not holdable at all. So.
Yep.
Oh, you know what's awkward though is when you lose Kiel, you can't take Munich. Huh.
I mean,
Because Berlin's supposed to hold Munich now, and once you lose Kiel, you can only have Ruhr and Burgundy on Munich, so Berlin can keep holding Munich.
Unless you can, like, slip Piedmont into Tyrolia in some fashion. I think that's got to be the line you take, right?
Yeah, you really do need to get into Tyrolia. I mean, if you have Austrian and Italian support, then you could probably make it anyways.
Yeah. But, like, if the Italian and Austrian were supporting you into Munich, they probably would have done it on the turn where it would have prevented a solo. But yes.
I Probably.
So, I mean, not a ton more to talk about here, I think. Shall we go ahead to the winter?
Let's see the builds.
Alright, winter 1965, Sebastopol and Armenia coming off the board for Russia. And Italy building 2 units as well, Rome and Naples.
Fleet Naples.
Fleet Naples, importantly. So no double army from you that you were suggesting. I suppose fleet makes some sense. It's just
And
keeps...
people forget that Fleet Ionian can convoy armies into Greece and Albania, so that's fine.
Yeah, but also, like, Fleet Naples gives you more board control than Army Naples does. If you're looking to control the board beyond just...
Austria and Russia?
Yeah. Beyond just stopping Russia here, right?
But it's more than just stopping Russia, right? Because once you stop Russia, you have Austria by the balls, so Austria can't do anything. And so then it's just saying, yeah, we're going to stop Russia, we're going to stop Germany from soloing, and Austria's my bitch. Right?
That's one way to put it, yeah.
Like, that's just... I like that position, don't you?
It's... Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I think, I mean, Fleet Naples feels less, like, aggravational towards Austria. If you're going to put an army in Greece, Austria's going to get antsy. And this Austrian has done things when they're antsy.
Bulgaria's treating Greece. Right.
Yeah, okay, so Albania. But, that's even worse. Austria is just going to go, you're next to Trieste, you're in Vienna, he's going to kick you out of Vienna for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to be in Venice, and we just have to make sure that while Austria is consolidating again, that Russia doesn't get position on Serbia again.
Yep.
Because if Russia takes Bulgaria from Ankara, hypothetically, suddenly Serbia's lost again. Right?
Fun times.
I refuse to accept that in this game as Italy. I'm going to say no. I'm going to put an army in Albania, and it's going to support Serbia. Every move for the rest of the game, Albania will support and hold Serbia. You're going to be fine.
I still think that would have made the Austrian antsy, but I think we can hear from Goldfinger when he listens to this episode as to whether he would have been antsy on that front or not. Fleet Naples feels like something I'd request.
At some point, their feelings don't matter. The position on the board matters.
Well, no, because, Austria can still screw over your team by going, hey, Russia, here's your solo.
Yeah, right? But, he's not going to throw it because he's trying to solo for himself. If he wanted to throw, he would have thrown years ago.
That's fair. Well, I mean, is there anything more? Sorry about Steam notifications here. I will just switch them off. So, anything more to talk about here, or shall we go to the spring? Yeah, spring 1965. Well, Russia focusing on Germany pretty much entirely here. He's outright saying, Germany, you're not getting your HSCs back. I'm taking Kiel. I'm pushing into Ruhr even. Just make sure I blow up that army.
Popped Kiel. Oh, that's so punishing because Germany's going to be at 7 while at 10 SCs. Oh, Lord, he's going to be in the Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah, he actually made 100% sure to pop Kiel here, right? He pushed with 2 into Munich, he cut Bohemia, so the only way that Munich would fall was if Bohemia went in. And even then it wouldn't, because Kiel was being cut. Pushed...
Yeah, the only way to save Kiel was to support it with Bel and Burr and de Ruhr.
Yes, that would have saved it. And actually, that probably was the correct move, it turns out, because now Germany has to play yet another unit down. Never going to be able to rebuild that, or at least no time soon. And as you mention over here, Russia gets Irish and English Channel. Next to a helpless Mid-Atlantic Ocean, even North Sea has been vacated now.
Well, it's occupied by a Russian.
Yes, sorry. So there's no help coming for this poor Austrian unit in Mid-Atlantic Ocean. It looks like it's just going to get kicked out.
Yeah, this This is a good way to solo. And I mean, look, this is what Fleet Naples is gonna do. All right, Fleet Naples just it's going to Tyrrhenian Sea to Western Med to say, oh wait a minute, Russia's gonna solo over the German. He's gonna take Mid Atlantic Ocean, and then we're screwed. But instead, the Austrian is gonna be there in time, retreat into Portugal, support the Italian into Spain, and then say, yeah, Germany, you're gonna be -3, but you're already +3, so it's fine.
Yeah. An interesting. Yes, no, I think that's a fair assessment here. It's not quite as good for the Russian as it seems. But pushing into Mid-Atlantic Ocean is still quite strong. Maybe you can go on a vacation with this fleet all the way down into the Mediterranean, let it experience some warmer waters.
Yeah, it should go to Eastern Med. Maybe it meets up with his fleet Smyrna.
That would be one way to break through the blockade. But talking of this down here, we should probably discuss the Russian strategy, because it's nothing like what we are expecting, I think.
It's a complete 180 from his previous approach to this game. His
Yep.
previous approach said, Turkey is my block. I'm going to hold on to it forever, and I'm not going to concede any ground in the south, and I'm going to let the north kick me back as much as they need to. And this is what let Germany get up to 12 into these big positions that Russia then ultimately got his great position out of, because of the collapse on Germany benefited him so much. Now he's saying, I'm going to let the south make progress, and I'm going to keep Germany stuffed.
But he is, like, trying to keep as much of Turkey as possible, right? Here he's just saying, okay, I'm not even going to bother trying to tap Bulgaria, keep Romania, I'm just going to focus on Turkey. But even then, he has to now choose which of Constantinople or Smyrna to support. He can lose that guess. It's a 50-50.
It works too, yeah. Right?
Yeah. And yeah, that's, this looks like a painful south for the Russian. Absolutely giving up progress here. He could have walked into Trieste. I don't blame him for not going for that. But that's an interesting thing to note.
This is much better. Right, popping Kiel is way better than walking into Trieste.
Probably, yeah.
It's critical, right? Because Germany's never building. So popping this unit is just one fewer German army you ever have to deal with again. Whereas if you go into Trieste, you're getting popped.
Yep. That's, well, with Serbia vacant, you might not be getting popped, but yeah,
Serbia
it's probably
vacant. That's
yes.
funny.
But it's probably
why
better
is
to
it
focus
better?
north anyway. But yeah, and like the result of these moves, Italy gets into Galicia, which does lessen the pressure on the Austrian quite a bit. This whole situation, but Russia is now in Tyrolean Bohemia, which is interesting. Still has that pressure, but it's behind the lines.
Yeah, and in the meantime, they've lost Silesia and Galicia, so Warsaw is lost.
They just
Probably.
lose. Okay, so they can hold it by cutting, because they get to retreat to Ukraine here, right? They can hold it by cutting Cilicia and Galicia from like German centers and Bohemia.
How do they cut Galicia?
They cut Galicia from Bohemia, right?
Oh, of course. Sorry.
Yeah.
Then they would lose Munich, potentially.
Yeah. No, because they're in Ruhr.
Because they're in Ruhr, and the only German army is in Burgundy. Funny, yes. They can use Berlin to cut Silesia, Bohemia to cut Galicia, Ruhr covers Munich, and then Ukraine covers Warsaw. They can still technically hold Warsaw. That's great.
Yep. Although actually, then they lose Sebastopol, which is the downside to that. Because so Romania goes to Sebastopol every time here, right? They don't have anything adjacent to it.
Yep.
Apart from Ukraine.
Sebasti.
So it looks like Austria or Italy is probably going to get into one of Warsaw or Sebastopol, given the results here, which is painful for the Russian unless they get to build. I don't think they do.
Well, they're already losing Romania. And if they lose one of Warsaw or Sev, they're going to be down 2. They gained Kiel, so they're only down 1. Are they going to gain anything else?
Maybe Belgium, but I doubt it. Nah, they could gain Belgium.
Maybe Belgium. They're in Brewer and English Channel and the north.
Yeah, but then they don't. Then they don't take Mid-Atlantic
How about
Ocean.
Holland? Do they take Holland?
Uh,
Denmark cuts Hell, North cuts
there's
Bel.
nothing in Denmark. Oh no, there is something in Denmark.
Oh,
it
it's
retreated
Denmark.
there. Yeah.
So north to Bel.
Yeah, that's
And
possible. Then what do you
no,
put in?
yeah, you'd have to have like Kiel support Hall, but we needed Ver to cover Munich.
Yeah.
Everything sucks. Russia's down and losing a home center.
Yes, certainly looks worse for Russia than it did last time.
Yeah. I mean,
Shall...
honestly, not really. I'd rather be playing this Russian position than the 17 center Russian position. Because the 17 center Russia was just so out of it after missing the shot.
That's
This
fair.
at least I'm coming together again. Like, I'm losing ground here, but at least I'm back in position.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, shall we see what Russia does with this position?
Yeah, let's see it.
Fall 1966. Loses Warsaw, chooses to just give up, but gains Vienna!
Yeah, Austria
That was...
chose to not defend anything.
Okay, hang on. Why did Italy move Galicia to Romania? This makes no sense. What?
If Romania... What if Ukraine covered Warsaw instead?
Then this would be quite nice, but then don't you just want to move Bulgaria? Oh, I suppose you wanted to take the shot at Turkey. This was really smart moves on the Russian part in Turkey. I think it means that you have to move Aegean if you're gaining anything, right? And you lose Aegean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's entirely... You could trade Aegean for Smyrna, which honestly is a trade that as Italy I'd probably make here. If I knew I could. But it's fine to not.
But it's still a painful trade because Fleet Aegean is so much better than Fleet Con for the Russian.
I mean, ish, but I build Fleet Naples and cover Ionian.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean Greece is then the only thing under threat, I guess.
Yeah, Bulgaria can cover Greece, and then we move on with our lives.
Yeah,
Right.
but
We just trap it back in a box, and then we force it back in, but we happen to gain Smyrna.
important thing is this is knowing the Russian orders, right? We're thinking
Yeah,
this. If you're just taking a guess, you kind of want to go, okay, well, I want to put either Bulgaria or Smyrna in because they're the smart units to put in. And you try that, and that loses against this Russian order set either way.
Yep. Absolutely.
So yeah, the Russia walks into Vienna over here. I still think Galicia to Romania is a bad move. Even if you get into Sebastopol, it's just... I would have...
Yeah, I mean, covering Vienna is almost always going to protect the center, because Bohemia is... It's entirely reasonable that Bohemia goes to Vienna basically all the time. So, this is, I believe, more likely to gain you a center. But it's also plausible that the Austrians like, hey, I'm going to take Vienna again. Don't you be a meanie butt and stop it.
Yes, that would make sense.
By the way, is Trieste currently Austrian or Italian? It's currently Austrian, right? Yes.
Yeah, actually, it looks like because they supported Piedmont to Tyrolia, they were basically saying, okay, Vienna is... We're giving up Vienna for sure, because even if Russia hadn't gone for it, they would have been able to retreat into it.
As Italy, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Russia chose to just take it off the board instead of retreating it to Bohemia first, okay?
Yeah, that's an odd one. That might have just been a missed move, who knows. They did, No, actually, it makes sense, because they just took Holland, so I think they might build out of this.
Well, they're minus Warsaw.
They are minus Warsaw, they're plus Vienna, they're minus Romania.
So they're -2, +2, popping this does mean a build.
They gain Kiel, they gain Holland. Yeah, I think, popping it makes sense.
Plus Kiel, plus Holland, plus Vienna, minus Romania, minus Warsaw.
Yeah.
Right? So this is either a unit in Bohemia or a unit in, let's say, Sebastopol or Moscow.
Yeah, so this is obviously the problem as Russia, you run into quite often if you go heavy fleet build, where usually it's because you've committed too much to fleets on either side. In this case, it's because Russia's committed so hard with their armies that they're past all of the armies that are attacking them, but you can lose that core of your Russian homeland so quickly to an army attack here. And the fact that Cilicia, Galicia, Romania are all enemy units and you only have Ukraine to defend against them is a problem here. You need that build. So Vienna is really a godsend, as is Tyrolia being taken off the board. As is the German order set here of giving up Holland. Although I guess you were predicting they would go for Belgium, which makes sense. And we do see Austria finally saying, okay, I'll take the dot. I want to build. And I think he does actually build off of this, right?
Yep, he didn't lose anything. I believe he's actually building 2. Plus Romania, plus Spain.
Oh, plus Romania, plus
Warsaw.
Spain, plus Warsaw. He went plus 3, but he lost Venice. So plus 2.
Sure.
Can only build one of those, obviously. So he didn't need to take Spain. But given he was retreating, he probably... I would have preferred to go to Portugal.
Maybe, but Spain... Yeah, I would have preferred Portugal as well. But Spain can cover Western Med, so there's a little more guesswork to stall out the Russian from getting into the Mediterranean.
This is true. Yeah, that makes sense.
And we really do need to take some of these odds off of Germany, who can't use them. Because currently, Russia has a similar number of units to the rest of the map, right? Austria's got 4 units on the board, Italy's got 6 units on the board, Germany's got 7 units on the board, for a total of 17. Russia's only at 14. So he's outnumbered, but not so heavily that it's impossible to make progress and make gains. But if Austria and Italy have plus 3 units between them, and Germany's still at 7, then it's a much harder prospect to make progress. Because 20 against 14 is really hard to fight.
Yep, for sure. Alright, well, I mean, should we talk more about the tactics in the north up here? Is there anything you want to discuss with regard to that?
I think they all played fine.
Yeah. Germany just, I think, decided to cover the wrong centres with Brest and Belgium.
It's, easy to say, but at the same time, Belgium and Brest are more windows into the core, right? Like, if you lose Belgium from Ruhr, then suddenly Burgundy is at risk. Like, let's say he covers Brest, and then he takes Belgium and is in Munich, then it's like, oh dear, we might get punched through. So I can understand holding on to Belgium. It just sucks that you have to take Belgium with the fleet.
Yeah. The other option was pushing Picardy through to Belgium, just saying I don't care about Brest being lost, right?
I think that's a fair approach, definitely, yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of fair, deciding to plug up the hole in Belgium here and go to Brest to defend. Especially knowing that he's losing Iberia, I think he's happier keeping this consolidated centres in France. It's actually starting to look really bad for the German here, because Iberia is going. They don't really have a way back into this game very easily, right?
I mean, when Russia's got 9 units, right? Baltic Sea, Denmark, North Sea, Kiel, Munich, Ruhr, English Channel, Irish Sea, all devoted to attacking you, then you're going to have a hard time defending with only 7.
Yep. And your allies in the south are taking your centers, so you're not really they're not really defending you so much. It's just gobbling up the extra provinces you have.
Yep.
Right. Shall we go ahead to the winter here?
Yep. Let's see if Austria waves.
Austria does not
like
wave.
St. Pete or something, but like we know he's gonna build Moscow and Sev, right? There's no way.
He built Moscow and Sebastopol. Army Moscow, Army Sebastopol. Makes sense. And there's an army in Trieste, which is definitely correct given the Russian army in Vienna.
Alternatively, given the nation he is.
Yes, that too. Well, we've seen him favour fleets before, when he's been in odd positions like this. But yes, he's going for an army this time around. We need to adjust our power rankings. I think we're still saying that Russia is top. I will move it to a more aesthetically pleasing top spot now that he is not on 17. But who's like... Is Germany second still? Probably not.
Nope.
Not at all.
Not at all. Not even a little bit.
In fact, he might be...
Last.
Last. Yeah. I would say Italy is second? Or is Austria second here? That's a hard one.
I'm not sure. This is a tough power ranking. But Germany is definitely last in my mind.
Yeah, because no home supply centers, almost equal center count to the others, and his units are kind of Heligoland. And Heligoland in particular is a difficult unit to keep alive, and every unit he's getting blown up, he's never getting back.
Yep. The good news about Helgoland Bight is Helgoland can go into North Sea or Holland, and Norwegian can support North Sea and Belgium can support Holland. So it's reasonably likely that he gets out alive, but if it gets popped, it's very bad for him. The biggest shine of hope for Germany that I see is his ability to retake Munich, because he can retake Munich without needing Italy or Austria to help for the first time in forever.
That is something I hadn't noticed. Burgundy and Tyrolia, of course, there's only one unit next to them. Well, there's only one unit on Munich, and that's Munich itself. So they can just push Tyrolia up into Munich here, take that back. So yeah, that is a lifeline.
Yeah,
but
because
it's...
Warsaw was lost, Russia can't really reinforce this in any reasonable time frame. So yeah, I think Munich is officially German, finally.
After forever, he didn't need the Italian support to take it back at the end of things, I guess. But yes, it's not enough to even up the fact that he doesn't have any home centers right now, especially considering I think it's fairly reasonable for Italy and Austria just to keep nabbing Iberian and Marseille. Iberian SCs and Marseille down here, claiming that it's like for his defense or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how necessary it is.
No, I should say it doesn't feel necessary. It just feels like something they would do. Because what's the downside?
The downside is that they still need to break Russia in time. Because if Germany's going to start disbanding, right? Every die you take, he's at 7 units on the board, so he's going to start disbanding. And if he loses these units, right, other than Helgoland Bight, if he loses, let's say, Liverpool, then suddenly Edinburgh and Liv go Russian very quickly. If he loses Burgundy, then Munich can walk into Burgundy and Paris falls pretty quickly. Like, Belgium is at risk. I think Germany needs all of these units for another year or 2 until you can really break the Russian.
That makes sense. And, like, I should say, like, if you take Iberia down here in Marseille, there is a stalemate line you can use, but it does require you to be in Sebastopol, I believe. At least, like, taking the Turkish NCs.
Yeah, you need to make this the Mediterranean stalemate line is what I think about it as.
Yep.
And yeah, you can hold the Balkans, right? But you need to take Turkey, and you're not taking Turkey in a year. You're not taking Turkey in 2 years unless you get a lucky convoy into Syria.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a position that I would not take Marseille and Portugal from Germany this year. I might move Venice into Piedmont and then try to get it into Gascony next year, right? Maybe I move it into Piedmont and I wait and see, because maybe I walk into Marseille next year. Okay, I can see these moves happening, but not... We can't be too greedy just yet.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, but, like, the interesting question we have not answered yet, who is above, Italy or Austria? Who is second place on this stuff?
I'm confident that player is Italy.
The better player is Italy? Did you say?
Oh, I was rather vague there, wasn't I? Italy is the better power right now. I would much rather play the Italian position than the Austrian position.
Okay, there we go. Then we have Russia in first still. Italy in second now, Austria in third, and poor old Germany, no home supply centers, just trying to keep his units alive. It's not often you see a player with 7 units and no homes. But
Yeah.
yeah, they are in last place on our power rankings. Shall we go into 67?
Let's hear it.
Alright. Spring 1967. You are correct that the... Oh boy, okay, never mind. I'll talk about that in a second. First off, Germany NMRs. And loses Fleet Heligoland.
Oh my god.
This was the turn he had to... And he can't guarantee Munich anymore, because now Vienna has gone to Bohemia and is adjacent to Munich. Oh...
And Tyrolia didn't get out, so Venice is still stuck.
Okay, he can guarantee Munich with Austrian assistance, right, from Silesia.
Yeah. Help him? Of course not. He's gonna like walk into Berlin or something.
Yeah, that seems painful. This is just...
Dude, this NMR hurt badly. Like, Germany was already in a bad position, and this time Russia actually made progress with the German NMR. Isn't Belgium lost as well?
Belgium is lost, but then Russia would have to not defend Munich, right?
Yeah, okay.
So I think Belgium stays on the board and Russia keeps Munich, is probably the way I'd do it as Russia. Although, maybe, well, you don't blow up Belgium either way.
We could. Mid-Atlantic to English, English to Picardy. Or support Holland to Bell. Okay, but then it's not guaranteed. They can support it. But they're really not going to support whole Belgium here, right? Because Belgium is guaranteed lost.
Yeah.
So you can then have Kiel support Denmark to North Sea. And then you pop Belgium.
Yeah.
And yeah, Germany takes Munich this turn. Are you likely to recapture it? You're probably not. But, like, still popped 2 fleets this turn, right?
Yes. That would be pretty insane. Like, it's not good to have Fleet Picardy, Fleet English Channel for obvious reasons here. Fleet Picardy is not great.
Only
but
a little bit, though, right? If you mean that there is only one northern fleet, and that is Fleet Norwegian by Germany, who has lost his home supply centers, and you've got 6 northern fleets, England is just going to fall. It just can't stop. Belgium, English Channel, Brest, these are going to be yours for certain. And you're just in solid shape there. Like,
yeah,
I'd be really tempted now to pop that fleet Belgium.
Yeah,
to go ham popping that fleet Belgium, and like it's one of those positions where trying to pop the fleet is really punishing because, yeah, it looks like you're losing Mid-Atlantic Ocean, right? It looks like you're giving up this position that you have. But in my opinion, it's worth it, and so that's when that's the time when I would really go out of my way to pop it. So I would assume they're not going to support Belgium in the North Sea or whatever.
Yeah. No, I think that's definitely fair. The
Oh yeah, my moves actually protected against that, didn't they? Very cool.
Also, what is Army Liverpool doing? Well, what am I saying? I mean, before this point, I'm pretty sure Army Liverpool has just been holding in Liverpool for like a year, when nothing has been.
Fleet Irish Sea.
Right? Oh, okay. And now it's NMRing, so that makes sense.
And now it NMR'd as soon as Irish Sea left. So.
Yeah. Okay. So. I mean, outside of the German NMR, German losing Heligoland Bight, which is pretty huge. What else happened on this board? We have a stealth bounce in Mid-Atlantic Ocean, which I think is a bad idea.
It's risky, man. Like, if you're worried about him slipping through, then he could just walk into North Africa. Or, in my opinion, worse, he could walk into Portugal.
Yeah, Portugal. See, this one is good against North Africa because you can still cover Tunis, right? But it's bad against Portugal.
But, like, even the one that guards against Tunis, right? If you're in North Africa, you still can walk into Western Med.
Yes. This is true. And this is... Like, the alternative, though, is that you support Western...
I would say a different approach. Just don't have Spain also go to Mid-Atlantic. Right?
Oh, that makes sense.
Right? Pick one of them to not send, because then if he takes Portugal, you can pop it, and that's amazing. Um, it does risk the North Africa move if you have Western Med, and if you go via the other way, then you risk Portugal. But you're risking Portugal either way. So probably the best one is to move in via Spain. Um, but
Right. So the reason this is not great in, well, the thing we're missing here is that this is public press, right? So Austria and Italy couldn't coordinate this. They could have said, hey, let's just move one of our units in, but they can't say we're not covering Portugal because then he goes to Portugal. This is if you say if the Austrian says, I'll go into Mid-Atlantic Ocean, then Russia goes to Portugal 100%, right? So you have to keep it up in the air a little bit. But yeah, so other
other than
things.
that, like there was really nothing done in the east, right? It was, I mean, okay, Budapest supported Trieste into Vienna, but we all saw that coming because we knew that was happening on the board. And other than that, like Warsaw didn't go to Livonia; it went back.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
whatever.
odd. Double tap on Ukraine for some reason.
No reason to not to, right? What else are you doing with those units?
I suppose. And yeah, the moves in Turkey make sense. You might ask, hey, Italy saw Russia do this move set last turn. Why is he just playing the move that won't work again? You can't give up Aegean in the spring. I think is the answer to that. If you're giving up Aegean, it's probably in the fall so that you can actually take the center build at home and make sure you have something to cover Ionian.
Also, I have another statement. If you always switch what moves you do from if you have a position where you return to the previous position, if you always change the move sets, you're very predictable. People frequently assume that you're going to do something different the next time because, oh, they did this move last time, so then they switch it, and so you just do the same thing 5 times in a row and you outget them because they always think you're going to switch, right?
Yeah,
They
that
just,
makes sense.
like, so people seem like if you are picking your order sets in situations like these randomly, and in my opinion, it should be pseudo-random because some of these moves are better than others. So it shouldn't be truly 50-50. It should be something like 80% of the time you do one move set, 20% of the time you do the other. Sometimes you're just going to do the same move set a lot of the times in a row because that's how randomness works. You ever flipped a coin and came up heads 5 times in a row? Because I know I have.
Yep, makes sense. And yeah, I think the only other majorly interesting thing here is Warsaw to Cilicia making the backing out and going for Germany as opposed to trying to push the advantage on the Russian homeland.
There was no advantage to push on Russia.
Uh,
Like, you're taking Vienna this turn. You can't do a big shuffle, right? Like if you could go
yeah.
Warsaw to Livonia, Galicia to Warsaw, Budapest to Galicia, sure. But also this is public press, and you can't very well tell Italy, "Hey Italy, please go into Warsaw this turn." I wonder what I'm doing. And then Russia's like, "Oh, I guess I'll take Warsaw this turn too."
Yep, that makes sense. And I assume you also assume that the unit in Tyrolia is going to Munich, so this is kind of a surrounding kill play on Bohemia. Right here.
Yeah, Bohemia would be completely surrounded and then probably popped.
I
Absolutely.
mean, it probably still is going to get popped, it's just going to be able to defend Munich the turn before it does. Uh,
Yeah,
so, shall we go ahead to the fall?
let's see it. Let's see if Germany shows up
Alright.
again, or if we let Russia hold his position and therefore probably solo.
Well, so Germany did show up again, which is good. Uh, the and
But
Germany actually does get into Munich. Um, Despite Russia playing the right moves to counter it, it's just the Austrian helps the German back.
thing that you could have possibly done would have been Bohemia to Silesia, right? Berea to Munich. That could have theoretically done it, but come on.
Yeah, but you don't know that that's going to happen here.
Yeah,
Um,
Burgundy could also have supported Tyrolia into Munich.
Ru-
Actually, in this situation, it would have been better for Burgundy to do that.
is Germany down in unit anyway? They lost Portugal and they lost Belgium here. Um,
Yeah, but they had Helgel and Bite get popped, right?
yeah, okay.
So I don't think they're pulling anything.
They're probably fine because they go plus Munich as well. Yeah. Um, So yeah, the Germany. I mean, it's still not a great position. Just having Munich, it's a hard sense of building, especially with Italy and Bohemia and Tyrolia and Austria and Silesia and Russia and Kiel and Berlin. But it's
Yeah, but
better
we're
than not
playing
having.
in Berlin, and we don't think that Austria and Italy are going to be too hostile to you, considering Austria helped you get in there.
Yeah, that's fair. But like, can you get that unit out in order to build? I don't know if Italy and Austria will let you. Um,
I mean, sure.
I do love that the Austrian takes. Well, okay, so Portugal is clearly to try and make sure that the Russian doesn't get in. But by taking another SC, he was already playing one up, right? He gains Vienna and he gains Portugal. He does lose Warsaw, so he only goes +1, but it's +1 on top of a +1 from last turn, and he only has one place to build, so he's still playing a unit down. Um, oh, fun times. Um, and like you said with the Russian is just deciding to do the same thing over and over again and is outgassing as a result of that. Um, Italy switches up to try and move Aegean into Constantinople this turn and does not get in because it's still countered by the same set of Russian orders down here. Russia is just going, if you want Constantinople or Smyrna, you need to give up Aegean for it.
And in this case, you cannot take Constantinople.
No, you
The
can't.
only place you can take is Smyrna. So the trade is, are you willing to trade Aegean for Smyrna? And Italy has said no the 3 times it has happened. And who knows if Italy will ever decide to make the trade.
Yep. And meanwhile, Russia gained some progress here, getting into Warsaw, Galicia, and Ukraine, leaving Sebastopol open, just like, hey, I don't care. You
But
can
now
take
that
that guess.
Russia is gaining Belgium. Oh no, Russia lost Munich and Vienna. I was thinking
Yeah.
Russia might be able to build after Bohemia got popped, but I don't believe that's the case.
They
Vienna was
go
popped, right?
+2 and they go minus. Sorry,
Plus
so
2, minus 2, so neutral. But Bohemia and Vienna were popped, so they are building too.
yeah, I think Vienna wasn't popped. Vienna moved to Bohemia.
Oh, Vienna was
So,
into Bohemia?
yeah, so just one, but that one in Sevastopol is quite a nice place to put it.
Of course, after you vacated it.
Yep. Um,
Question though, do you put a fleet there or do you put an army there?
and like we were discussing this whole rotating round to destroy Belgium thing. I feel like it's not
Yeah.
actually necessary because in Picardy it can be destroyed anyway potentially, right? You're just waiting a year to do so.
Yeah, but I don't like waiting.
That's fair, and you're in a difficult situation around London right now. Russia trying to rotate north and Norway into Norway and Denmark into north, guessing that Germany will try and protect Edinburgh. I guess does not work out for him at all. And that unit in Denmark is just stuck there. I don't know why he covered Kiel here. That didn't seem necessary.
What else is Helgoland doing?
I mean, you could. I
You could have
think,
Helgoland cover north whilst Denmark goes to Sweden.
yeah, something like that. That would probably have been better. But maybe it's going to turn out to be useful that it's in Kiel because it is stonewalling out the German.
It's a unit there. Yeah, I want to see if Russia builds an army, he's trying to say, I'm going to go for a solo the same way I did previously by taking a bunch of Austrian centers and then winning the game that way. He can also try to build a fleet and say, I'm going to try to solo in a different way. I'm going to try to get fleet into Syria, Smyrna, and Khan and try to break out into the Med onto the open sea. Something he hasn't done the whole game, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, he has been stuck on this line for like the entirety of forever. I wonder if he tries to go for a negotiating play, gets someone back on his side, but it feels like he's still too large to do that right now.
I agree. And Germany is just not in a position to make any moves against him. So I don't believe he can.
Yeah, shall we go ahead to winter?
Let's see it.
Alright. Winter 1967. Fleet Trieste.
And Fleet 7.
And Fleet Sebastopol, yeah.
That was discussed.
Sorry?
You think that was discussed?
It might have been. I mean, they were the only two with orders this phase, but like, as Austria, you surely don't want to agree to anything that will make Italy annoyed at you here.
They really can't throw.
This is true. What are you going to do with Fleet Trieste here? It just seems blatantly anti-Italian. Maybe it's to,
Italian. But what's Italy going to do?
I mean, it's possible he's saying, hey, you know, Italy, we need more fleets to plug the gap in the Mediterranean.
Yeah, I believe that he's paying lip service to the idea of not attacking Italy immediately with it, but it's clearly anti-Italian. Like, tell me that in a press game, if you are in this position as Italy and Austria says, hey, I'm going to build Fleet Trieste. Tell me you don't immediately say, oh, all right, well, I guess I'm trying to figure out how to go to war with Austria and not let Russia solo.
I would be mad, yes. Although,
That's what's happening, right? But he knows that he can't let Russia solo, so Austria has the leeway to do whatever Austria wants, and Italy has to accept it.
yeah. I wonder, like, as Italy here, actually, Army Trieste from the Austrian might be more effective in attacking, because obviously that can go through Venice and then continue an attack down here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In a different situation, I think the Army Trieste is clearly better than this Fleet Trieste. But Austria, we discussed, needs a 20 center solo, right?
Yep. I mean,
So to get a 20 center solo, you need fleets on the west. You need to have a fleet in the North Atlantic Ocean. You probably want a fleet in the North Sea, right? You want to be massive, but you need to get your fleets over there. Then you stab Italy, getting your builds, and hopefully Russia and Germany are engrossed in a war at this time, and then you can take Warsaw, Sev, and then whatever you gain like 10 centers in 3 years, and you win the 20 centers, right? That's
oh
like
boy, yeah. I mean,
that's kind
owning
of it.
Spain and Portugal is a good start for him. that's that's a fun one.
What you're thinking? Should maybe give up on his goals of a 20 center solo?
Sorry.
You're thinking he should give up on his goals of a 20 center
No,
solo?
no, he should go for it. I'm enjoying this too much. But I
Nice.
think, yeah, owning Spain and Portugal is a nice start to that, to a nice springboard to that, maybe. And he's still going to get a build next turn if he keeps everything here, so, you know, going for Italy might not be a bad decision. It's dangerous with the Russian like this, but you know, you can maneuver into the Ionian and stab in a bit. So, so should we discuss Fleet Sevastopol a bit more, or are we about done with this?
I'm about done with Fleet Sebastopol. Like, he's gonna try to break out, and it's just not gonna work. So,
He can move, like, he can try and shuffle fleets down into Sirius Manor, Constantinople, but
yeah, but
it's
we all
just
know it's never
difficult.
gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a thing, but we know it's not going to work. I thought about it, and I wanted to look at it, but then I realized quickly, no, there's with the fleet in the Aegean and the fleet Eastern Med, it is just so hard to get out. Like, ugh.
Yep. Unless Italy has to pull back to an Austrian stab.
Yeah,
this,
but like, is Austria gonna stab in the next
no.
10 years?
That would be a terrible idea on the Austrian front.
I mean, maybe he dots him, right? Maybe he takes Greece, and then he says, "Yeah, blow up Tyrolia, Greece, or blow up Tyrolia, Italy. What are you gonna do?" And then he's gonna blow up Tyrolia, and then you're gonna build army of Trieste. Then you're gonna support whole Bulgaria, whatever, right? Like,
Yep.
but it's not forever.
But
It's not.
yeah, I don't think Austria dots here. I think Austria just goes and hangs out in Ionia until he's ready to stab. Shall we? And like the extra Russian fleet gives him an excuse to hang out in Ionian, right? Because he's saying, "Hey, I need to stay here as backup to Aegean and Eastern Med in case there's 3 fleets on that lane."
Yeah, it's possible, man. can't let the Russian through.
Yeah, shall we go to 68?
Yep.
Alright, 1968.
Here we see why, as Russia, in this situation, you never change your moves. Stay low and tight.
Okay, so
Right?
the Russian intention here was to take Romania, right? That was why
Yeah.
he changed his orders, and he did successfully manage that, but he loses Smyrna in the process.
Hashtag not worth.
Yup. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I mean, is it that painful? You still got Fleet Syria, and that can get out into
Yeah,
Eastern
we got
Med
Fleet
potentially.
Syria. Wasn't this the game we talked about how much Fleet Syria hurts physically?
Yep. So, with Fleet Syria in this position, I think it's okay, because there is a chance you get out into Eastern Mediterranean. Although the Austrian fleet is about to bottle up the Ionian, so it still doesn't help that much. This was just a trade for Romania, and, you know, that's what he got out of it. And he lost Galicia in the process.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. He's still in position to do things and not die for a while. I mean, I don't know. I'm suddenly I'm a lot less interested in this whole position now that Russia's not immediately soloing. And now that Germany's back in Munich, so Germany can start building again. I don't know.
Okay. So, some interesting things that happen in the north as well. Russia is in a little bit of a bad spot with losing Norway and London here. Can knock them back out again, or can knock one of them back out again, or take a free shot at Edinburgh, but not both.
Yep. I mean, yeah, he can take Edinburgh. Basically, North Sea is going to net +1 supply center this turn. What that center is, it's either Norway. Please don't pick Norway, because if you pick Norway, Norway retreats to St. Pete. So please
Yep.
don't pick Norway. But then it could go into Eddie, or it can go into London with English Channel support. Or honestly, you can assume that Norway is holding, and you can have North Sea support something into London. But
That's more risky.
wouldn't it be funny if Norway moved to North Sea and you move to Eddie, and then he actually doesn't get anything? Wouldn't that be funny? Because I think it's funny.
That would be amusing, yes.
He should probably just convoy Holland to Eddie, right?
Yeah, that would make sense. I think that's probably the best move here, because it sets up really well for Liverpool as well.
Yeah, well, they moved into London, and they have to stay in London in the fall, so...
Yeah, of course, the downside to that is you also lose Kiel if Austria taps Berlin. But maybe you can count on Austria not to tap Berlin, given he's in Galicia and Silesia. He's probably going for Warsaw instead, right?
Yeah, man. Although Ukraine can support hold Warsaw, but...
Well, yes.
Definitely not tapping Berlin. Why would he tap Berlin? I don't know. I really want to get my army over there. I feel like Kiel is still... Nah, this is tough. That's rough, because one way of thinking is that I really want to take over the English centers, and I need to use an army to eventually take them, because it's going to take too long without them. I have enough fleets that I can retake Kiel and Berlin and Holland whenever I want, right? These are not important centers to me. The counterpoint is, yeah, but if we stop Germany from taking Kiel, then he never gets a build.
Yep.
Although, what if Berlin? What if Silesia supports Munich to Berlin and Ruhr cuts Holland? Then what?
Ruhr cuts Kiel, you mean? Yeah, this is, that is a thing they can do.
Kiel looks better to me.
Actually, I do think the convoy may just be the right move here. And, given... yeah... It feels bad to let Germany get a build after all this time. Especially given you just dedicated yourself to blowing up Fleet Picardy as well.
West and Eddie, then yeah, he still is going to build an army for Munich.
Yeah.
What if Italy takes Marseille? Then he doesn't.
Yeah, that's possible. And I think there's a good chance here that Italy just walks into Marseille, because why not? This is, that seems like, yeah, a thing that Italy might do here.
And then Austria takes Greece, so Austria doesn't have to disband, and then Italy doesn't have to disband, and at the end of the day, it's just Russia taking centers from Germany.
Yeah. But also Russia loses Smyrna, so Italy does get builds.
Oh, Italy's not going to stay in Smyrna, right? Khan's going to tap Ankh, and then it's going to get supported into Smyrna.
Gene, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Sorry, Khan is tapping Aegean, and Ankara is supporting Syria to Smyrna.
Yep. That makes sense. Although then they could lose Constantinople to Bulgarian attack.
Yeah, but Romania taps Bulgaria, and then it does all the things.
Yeah.
We have we have the nice long guesswork chain in the east that we've seen a million times before.
Yep. I feel like the one other thing I want to talk about on this board right here is Mid-Atlantic Ocean. What's going on with that right now? We've seen this self-bounce before, right?
This is a much better self-bounce, in my opinion.
Yeah, because if it goes into Spain, you can knock it out of Spain. That's a fine thing, and that might have been the intention with Tyrolia to Piedmont, actually, to just cover Marseille in the case that that Mid-Atlantic Ocean gets into Spain. This is certainly a lot better than when it was in Portugal, the empty spot that Russia could have gone to. But yeah, no, I think that's fine. You don't really need to take Mid-Atlantic Ocean as the Italians or Austrians right now, right?
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, I mean, depends how much progress Russia is going to make in the north. But it doesn't seem like they're making progress right now. They're going to get Brest this turn if they want it. That is something we failed to mention.
What Russia is making, though, is they are systematically exterminating the German fleets.
Yep. One left.
Only one fleet left. And the German fleets are the only hostile fleets in the north. And once English Channel starts holding mid-Atlantic Ocean, which it can do rather shortly, Russia's going to have free reign. And he who controls North Sea, Skagerrak, North Atlantic Ocean, etc., is going to control all these centers. So
yeah, I feel like actually it might be in Russia's interest to dislodge the Norway fleet and hope it goes to St. Petersburg because it's so easy to kill there, right?
That's really next level. Play, dude.
The problem, of course, is that you then go down units because you're losing stuff everywhere.
That's why next level. They'll never see it coming.
But yeah, it does actually not feel that bad if you can get into position to blow it up. Then St. Petersburg North Coast is not a good place for your fleet to be if there's fleets coming around Norway and Barents to kill it.
Yeah, I mean, who's played Russia when England takes Norway with the fleet and thinks, oh, I can build a fleet, St. Pete North Coast, and then they get their fleet blown up and realize, I wasted that build.
Yep.
I've never done that personally, but I've seen it happen.
Yeah, I've definitely never done it either. 100% never.
Yeah, of course not.
Right.
Let's say.
Yeah, let's go ahead and look at fall of 1968. Okay. Well, Russia does not go for my strategy, they go for yours. Which is...
It's completely smoked. Oh my god. I got read like a book. Like a book. Oh god. Oh no. Okay, also, I was not going to have Kiel the Helgoland bite, by the way. That was not part of my plan. But, oof.
Yeah, Kiel's support Berlin was important.
Oh god.
Kiel's support Berlin was really important here. Like, because right now you lose Berlin, and this had to be discussed between Austria and Germany.
Yeah, or you tap Holland. Right, you don't lose both Berlin and Holland in the same turn.
And you're losing Norway and London, and, well, you didn't lose Smyrna at the end of the day there, but you didn't gain Romania either. So you just go plus Brest. That was it. And you lost Mid-Atlantic Ocean to do that.
So you gain Brest, you gain Eddie, right?
Yep. Okay,
And
yeah.
you lose London, Norway, Holland, and Belgium.
Not Belgium, Berlin. But
Berlin,
yes.
that one. The other B.
So you
Not
go
that.
-2 overall here. And, like, English Channel to
Okay, I'm really
Wales
glad it's
feels
not
bad.
-3 though. Oh, but wait, Holland wasn't. If you support Sweden to Norway was yeah, all right. Maybe you should have just moved into Eddie. Maybe North Sea shouldn't have conflict here.
It's possible. I mean, North Sea is a valuable spot. I don't blame him for wanting to stay there. I don't like English Channel to Wales. I don't like that at all. I feel like that's an attempt to guarantee Liverpool next turn, right? But it's you don't need it. You don't need it. If
Liverpool's already guaranteed next turn.
yeah, and if London moves away to try and defend it, which is what this is trying to counter, then it doesn't take London, which is good. So that's fine. You should just let that happen. English Channel is just such a better place, and if you are going to take Brest with a fleet, take it from English Channel, not from Mid-Atlantic Ocean. Mid-Atlantic Ocean was a valuable space to be. I wonder if it's some kind of brokered peace deal, maybe, with the Italians? Because the Italians...
I don't believe there are any peace deals at the moment.
Yeah, Russia's still too strong. It's just like the Italians did go for Spain, and they took Marseille, but I think Spain was probably in a ranged self-bounce. And, like, there's nowhere else the Italians stabbed anyone. In fact, the Austrian took Greece unopposed, so that was probably arranged down there, right?
Yeah, it might have actually been a trade of Greece for Spain, and then Austria was like, what you gonna do?
But
oh wait, no, it was Romania.
no,
Because Romania
yeah,
was Austria. Fine.
Romania was given to the Italian here. Yeah. So this just looks really bad for Russia, all around. I wish they'd just kept their position in, like, if they'd have played my moveset, right? My amazing moveset of using North Sea to knock the fleet out of Norway,
Yeah.
then they would have just done Kiel support hold Berlin and Holland hold or something, or Holland to Ruhr. Then that's the perfect counter. I'm gonna say I'm a genius.
I mean, okay, just hypothetically, you could also just have taken Eddie from North Sea and then...
Well, yes, but then you don't get the next level play of blowing up St. Petersburg.
Yeah, you don't get the next level play of wasting a bunch of units, because here's what you could do, right? English Channel to North Sea, well, North Sea to Eddie, and then next turn, you support... Sweden supports North Sea to Norway, and then you still get there a year later.
Alright. Fine. I guess.
Right?
My way is fancier.
Your way is certainly fancier, and fancier is better.
Fancier is always better. This is something to keep in mind
up,
when you're playing diplomacy. This is why things like the Kieler Panto exist. They are terrible, but they are fancy. And fancy is important.
At least... Whatever.
No.
The viability of Kieler Panto later. You should talk to Chris Brand, right? After he did his interview.
Okay, my number one nitpick with that Chris Brand interview, we are talking about the How to Win as Italy interview over on the Legendary Tactics channel, which was with former world champion Chris Brand, who won playing Italy and has a reputation for being amazing as Italy. He didn't discuss the Kieler Panzer. It made me so sad.
He's just whatever. It's fine.
He's just like, no one will ever... He was probably thinking no one will ever accept it in a high-level game, but I would. So...
I mean, he's done it in a game against me.
Wait, really?
Like, yeah, it was in the World Diplomacy in wherever we met.
Oh, Oxford.
Oxford. Yeah, it was in Oxford. He did it with, I forget his name. Chris Martin, a British diplomacy player. Who was the first? He ended up being the first seed on top board.
Marvin Benjamin Freed. Is that who you're talking about?
Yes. Marvin Benjamin Freed. Absolutely. He was Austria, I believe, in that game.
Oh man, that's a pair to get against you. Oh,
Yeah, I was England here. I was doing well, and then I threw the position pretty badly, tactically. I'd taken St. Pete and was working effectively with Russia. I had organized the Western Triple as well, which is how I took St. Pete, but then was planning on stabbing the people in the Western Triple, obviously, as you do in England. But I tried to stab both of them at the same time in a
ah,
rather obvious way, and they just happened to both defend against it. And
oof.
then our position then quickly fell apart, and I was really sad. But at that point, I needed a very good result on my board, and as well as the next one for me to make top board. So I figured I shouldn't really play for like a solid 5-way draw or whatever. So I kind of needed to do something crazy, but the two of them just needed a solid result to make to the top board, so they decided they could stick together in their alliance for the entire game,
That
and it
made
was very
sense.
annoying. Yeah, I knew that they
Right.
wanted to stay actually even though, so I managed to throw it. I gave Marvin extra centers at the end when they didn't want them, and I was satisfied. Uh,
Fantastic.
yeah, there was some
Yes.
fun tactical shots with Belgium. That there was like we had a line going across the entire map from Warsaw through Munich over into Brest and such. And like they were in English Channel, and for whatever reason, they needed English Channel to tap Belgium as part of the stalemate line. And so I just walked out of Belgium, and then he took it.
That's beautiful. uh, but yes, so we will move back to this game in a second because I think that this is. But I did want to say, like, Marvin is an amazing guy. He runs the London Diplomacy Club, which is obviously a bit not non-existent right now because of the pandemic and all. But
I think they've started playing a couple of virtual face-to-face games.
that's actually possible. I will look that up afterwards. But yes, if you're in the London area, join the London Diplomacy Club. I've played games there. It's great. And welcome to newcomers as well. So anyway, let's move back to this game, which is the important one. I think we've discussed a lot this phase. Let's talk very quickly about what happened down in the south in Turkey and in northern Austria. I mean, Italy rotates.
Armenia. Russia took Galicia.
Okay, right. We are done talking about what happened down there. Let's go into. Shall we just go into winter 1968?
Let's go into winter and let's see what happens. They've been staring at that board for a long time. I trust them to. Do I trust them to? I really don't. All
Okay,
right.
I just
I
moved
will see
ahead.
what happens. So,
Uh,
Russia took Smyrna, and Italy let that happen. Austria took Greece. Italy took Romania with Austrian support. Russia took Galicia. Watch what's happens.
okay,
Lots of people make many guesses.
right. Let's move into the winter.
Yeah,
Um,
let's have winter.
right. So Kiel and Brest being blown up by the Russian who has
Venice?
just been.
Fleet
What?
Venice?
No. Italy. Why?
See, that's the build. Whenever you're playing the crazy Italy variant, you always build Fleet Venice. But
Oh my god, why? Was it just like, oh, I can't build. Okay, here's the reasoning. I can't build Fleet Naples because Austria is getting a build, and he will walk Trieste into Venice, and Budapest into Trieste, and then we'll continue walking down, right? I need to put a fleet down, but I need to defend Venice at the same time. You should have just put an army down. Why not just put an army
yeah,
down? But I
or
kind
put a
of get
Fleet
it.
Naples.
Fleet Naples is bad here because if you think that Austria is going to walk Trieste into Venice, yeah. And I think Austria probably is going to walk Trieste into Venice if you leave it open here, because that's what the Austrian player has been sort of. That's the kind of play that the Austrian player has been going for.
You can still just walk into Venice.
Yeah, but it takes more effort now.
Oh wait, are you
I'm
seriously
saying
saying
he's.
Fleet Venice there the entire game?
I'm saying he's going to hold Fleet Venice here this coming phase.
Oh, you know what's worse than the Fleet Venice?
It's a Fleet Venice that stays in
Fleet
Venice.
Venice that's not moving.
Yup. Uh, I think it makes sense to defend the homeland. But like if you're gonna do that, build an
Only Rome.
army.
Only Rome defends the homeland.
Yeah. But then that feels bad because you can't do anything with it.
You know where it's going? Venice.
Yeah, well, that's true.
It's the same argument as to why, as England, you frequently build Army Liverpool as a way to discourage French attacks, right?
Yeah.
Because Army Liverpool is going to be stuck for an extra turn, so France can't attack you.
Yep. But yeah, okay, so this is a paranoid Italy build. I think it's kind of fair, especially, like, Russia is down to 13 now. They've kind of lost control of the north with these two fleet disbands. And with their, well, poor guesses last phase. Yeah.
Speaking of that, didn't they have, like, disbanded Armenia instead?
Yes. Well,
The Russia's best chance this game is to abuse their complete Northern Fleet dominance.
Yeah. Maybe they're just going, I'm gonna back off, I'm gonna hold what I have, and then I'm gonna, like, do my solo run a bit later after people stab each other. This kind of gives them more negotiation options, I think, because they look less threatening. Like, significantly less threatening right now. But they look less threatening because this is just straight up worse.
They are less threatening?
Yep.
Yeah. Sometime mirror reality.
Yeah. I mean,
the good news for Russia is that it was Austria who took Berlin, not Germany. So there's still no northern fleets coming anytime soon.
Yeah, but they probably will at some point now. I think Germany is going to get their homeland back. Even if it's just with these two armies, they're going to get their homeland back.
Yeah, I think Picardy right is a better disband. You really want to keep Germany from getting northern fleets badly.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's fine. He had to disband his stuff.
Okay.
Let's go to
let's go to power rankings right now. It's 68. So
68.
Russia has fallen significantly, but I don't think they've fallen out of first place. Yeah.
I would agree. Still first place.
Yep. And second place, gotta be feeling it might be Austria now.
Sure.
Especially with, like, Fleet Venice.
Yep. I refuse to play this Italian position.
The thing is, I think they would be in first regardless of whether Fleet Venice came down or not, because if Fleet Venice didn't come down, they would be in first as a result of being able to walk into Venice.
What if it's Army Rome? What if it's Army Venice?
If it's Army Rome or Army Venice, I think then it's a different story.
But yeah,
no,
Venice also has moves.
I think Italy's position is still too... See, I want to say too spread out because they've got Romania and Bulgaria, but then I look at the Austrian fleet in Portugal and the Austrian army in Berlin, and I'm going, how am I accusing Italy of being too spread out? But at the end of the day, Austria has a nice consolidated lump of units right here, and Italy doesn't.
Yeah, Austria's 5 centers in Vienna, Budapest, Trieste, Serbia, Greece, the 5 that you start the game with usually, are a pretty nice defensible clump. That's where you're pretty happy to have.
Yep. And
you never want to be the one holding the centers on the front lines, like Italy is doing. Romania and Bulgaria are the centers that are likely to be lost in the war against Russia.
Yeah. I think Germany is still below Italy just by dint of it is going to take a fair while to get his centers back here. He's only got those 2 units able to really do it. But he is getting back into this game. It's difficult because of how spread out he is and how many, like, he's going to lose Liverpool.
Germany has much more growth potential.
Do you think Germany's above Italy then? I don't think
I
Germany.
think so. I would rather play Germany than Italy.
It's so spread out. It's like...
Yeah, but I don't have Fleet Venice.
Okay, Fleet Venice demotes you to last place. This is a fair assessment.
It's a wasted unit. It's a unit that is doing nothing, right? Italy says 7, but it actually says 6.
Yeah, but, like, 6 is still equal with Germany. And Germany's a spread all over the place.
Yeah, but, like, Berlin supports Munich to Kiel. Suddenly the entire German position looks fine. Right as rain.
Alright, sure. So here is our new power rankings. Russia in first, Austria in second, Germany in third, and Italy. Fleet Venice puts you down at the bottom. Although, like, I still don't necessarily think it was terrible. I think it's a good idea to stop Austria walking into your home centers too.
Yeah, whatever.
All right. Well, the Goldfinger question for you: if you watch this, would you have walked into Venice here if he had not built in Venice? Um, if he had built Fleet Naples, to be precise. Okay, so let's go to spring 1969. Nice.
I've been waiting the entire time to say that. Makes me so happy.
Oh, we got there. But yes.
Speaking of being there, Paris moved to Picardy and can now walk into Brest. The only opposing unit is the Italian fleet in mid-Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah,
Well,
this is true. But the Italians have mobilized against Munich. It's interesting. Moving up into Burgundy, I suppose that's more of an attempt to crush the Russian unit in Picardy, maybe. But it is gaining position on Germany as well. Poor old Germany loses another unit here with London, and they're going to lose Liverpool. That's painful.
but they can finally potentially rebuild units again. So units getting popped isn't the end of the world anymore.
This is true. And they've still got an open route to St. Petersburg if they want it.
Yeah, not particularly ideal, but
No,
the
but
bigger deal is that if they can take Brest and they keep Kiel, that's currently putting them at +2, and even if they lose Liverpool and London, they still got to rebuild Army Munich.
yeah. The downside to this is if Burgundy enters, Burgundy supports Silesia to Munich or something similar. Just decides,
Yeah,
hey, I'm. It's like, okay, Germany, you're not getting anything back here. I don't want you building either.
sure. The north, other than that, not much happens, right?
Yeah, not a ton. It is
Berlin's not
interesting that London went to Belgium. Maybe Germany was negotiating with Russia and going, hey, you can convoy out and then take these centers.
Yeah, but what is he gonna do with the army back on the mainland faster?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a good deal for Russia, and it doesn't, like, I don't know.
Yeah, and this is what the move to Wales enabled in the fall of last turn. Right,
Yeah,
this pop in London is now much easier.
I did not notice this, and this makes a lot more sense as to why he would do it. Uh, Obviously, Wales is better for containing armies than the English Channel is. But yes, that is pretty much all that happens in the north. We do see Berlin walk out of Berlin into Prussia, but that kind of ties into what's happening in the south here, which is Italy and Austria sticking together, and Italy even moving that Fleet Venice out. So why did you build Fleet Venice? I suppose it was like a build phase dissuading of Austrian aggression, and then you just go, okay, sure, I'm done. Let's go. But Austria could have moved to Venice here, and that would have been hilarious.
So what? Oh, sorry, I missed that Black Sea tapped Bulgaria. I got really confused in around the Constantinople area. So what happened is that Constantinople supported Smyrna into Aegean, which worked. So now there's a Russian fleet in Aegean. So it's really important that Venice moved to Apulia, actually.
Yes. If Venice had held, Italy would not be in a good situation here.
Greece would need to cover Ionian, which is terrifying.
Yep. Or Eastern Mediterranean covers Ionian, to be fair. But, yeah.
Imagine that coming back.
It is not, no.
Is Warsaw lost? Because I believe Warsaw's lost, isn't it? Guaranteed.
Yeah, pressure and Cilicia on it. Romania can cut Ukraine. There's plenty of units that can cut Galicia. That looks very lost to me. Although, if you enter Romania cutting Ukraine, you are risking Romania again.
But then Budapest and Serbia can smack it while Vienna taps Galicia, so then you need to use Galicia, Ukraine, and Sev to tap Romania. Oh no, Black Sea is around. Black Sea does exist, but Black Sea needs to support. No, it doesn't. Yeah, Romania's probably just lost anyways, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got 4 units on it against 3. That makes sense. Although it does require the Russian to give up Warsaw in order to do that. But you know, if you're just saying, yeah, I'm cussing, if he's cussing Ukraine anyway, then yeah, just go for Romania. So Russian is probably gonna lose his home center again. Oh, he could lose 2 home centers if Germany goes to St. Petersburg, but I don't expect that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see if Austria and Italy decide instead of taking Warsaw, they go after Livonia.
Yeah, that's an option. Oh boy, that would
I don't know.
be...
I'm here for position.
Maybe as Russia, you actually just don't bother covering Warsaw, then you just go straight up to Livonia and say nope.
Yeah, I think Warsaw covers Livonia, while the rest take Romania.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Because if an Austrian army gets into Livonia, that's really painful. You can't even cover St. Petersburg in this position, and it can also like annoy you in Moscow. That would be irritating. But yeah, so that is pretty much what happened in spring '69. Shall we go into fall?
Fall of 1969.
Indeed. And
No, they took Warsaw.
they did take Warsaw. Warsaw didn't bother covering Livonia, so it could have worked.
Yeah,
But,
so lame.
And Romania did just assume that it was being lost and go for the tap on Ukraine. Turned out that they could have held it with Serbia's support hold Romania, but they were more concerned about Bulgaria being blown up, I think.
Yeah, or Serbia support Budapest, Romania, actually. Would have worked here.
Yeah, but then they lose Budapest, which...
Uh,
Oh no, they wouldn't, because it would have bounced, but it risks.
Too.
It risks
Yeah, it risks losing it, of course, but like, come on.
Yeah. Germany's gonna get a build, maybe. Oh no, they're not. Are they not? Because they got pulled out of Norway. Wait, so Germany took Belgium, and they took Kiel, and they lost Norway, Liverpool, and London. That seems like they are not going to get to build to me.
No.
No, never mind, because they got units. They have 5 centers and 4 units right now, so I guess they are going to get to build. It's just a case of that so many units have been blown up that they get to build anyway.
What got blown up other than London?
I don't know.
Maybe it was past units getting blown up that they couldn't replace, and they were like actually operating down like 3 or something.
That's probably true. But yes, they are going to get one build here, and that's what they needed. Army Munich. The Italian decides to play nice and not just walk into Munich, which would have been hilarious as well, but does not happen. Interesting note here. No, never mind. I was gonna say if the Austrian had accepted the support from Greece to Aegean, then it would have blown up the Aegean fleet, but Russia made sure that wouldn't happen by tapping Bulgaria. Over here. So, much else to note here. Well, I mean, there's the fact that the Russians supported the German out into North Sea is great. I love that. This is Germany. This is why you should have gone to St. Petersburg. Just like go denied. No builds for you.
That would have been pretty punishing here. Russia would not have... This does mean Russia was able to disband Belgium. Yeah, I suspect if Germany walked into St. Pete, Belgium would instead have retreated into Ruhr.
Yeah, that's probably true. And to be fair here, Germany's getting a build either way, so there's no reason for them to hang on to Norway. North Sea is a better spot to be in than St. Petersburg North Coast, for sure. So yeah, they did the right move. I would have liked to see them take a Russian home center, but hey, it wasn't correct for them to do so. And Wales to Irish Sea is a bit interesting. I don't know what the point of that move was. English Channel just feels better. I suppose they want to go up to North Atlantic.
I guess. I don't understand the value of that. North Sea can cover English Channel, I suppose.
Yeah. Except, yeah, I mean, what do you mean North Sea can cover England? North Sea isn't theirs. North Sea is German.
Okay, you're right. Technically, North Sea is not theirs. However, they've got London, Denmark, and Norway, and there is no other unit adjacent to North Sea.
Yeah.
So my assumption is that fleet in the North Sea is going to do what Russia wants it to do. That's my assumption.
That makes sense at this point. Like, we've been talking about this as if diplomatically Russia is on their own, and it's been true up to this point, but I think right now their solo potential is so low that people can start working with them again. And that may be...
Germany is the one I would expect to do it, yeah.
Yeah, that may be what shakes this board up, and maybe why Italy should have walked into Munich here.
Yeah, that would have been hilarious.
Or Austria. Austria could have gone Bohemia to Munich as well.
Austria could have. For Austria, it's much more awkward because all their units were very important. Prussia was important to take Warsaw. Bohemia was important to take Galicia.
Well, Budapest could have helped take Galicia.
Budapest could have taken Galicia, sure.
But then it retreats to Bohemia, potentially, which is not fun.
Yeah, I thought Budapest was also supporting Vienna to Galicia.
No, it supported Serbia to Romania, but that didn't actually happen. He clearly decided to change his order.
Yes. Yeah, he probably changed his order at the end and didn't fix this. But, like, even still, you kind of do want to have 3 units attacking Galicia, because there is a world where... Oh, wait, no, it's not. If you're cutting Warsaw and Ukraine, I'm an idiot. Nah, you could have just taken it with Bohemia. You're totally right.
Yeah. So, come on, Austria, why didn't you go to Munich? It would have been much more fun. I know you were already built ahead, right? So you don't really need to take anything here, but hey.
Well, I mean, when Vienna ends up in Galicia, he could have built 2.
Yeah, that's true. Would have been quite fun. And then you just... Because Italy... oh no, Italy's getting 2 builds. Okay, so you can't just walk into the Italian homelands. They get Brest... No, they're getting 1 build, right? Because they took Brest, lost Romania, but went down a unit, so they get 1.
Warsaw.
Oh yeah, they do get 2. Warsaw. I forgot about that. That's not a usual Italian center.
They're net +1, but then they popped a unit, so...
Yeah. Alright, well, shall we see what those builds are? Winter 1969. We are about to say goodbye to the nice.
Builds that I've looked at that I can actually say I agree with everyone's builds.
Man, yeah. It's true. This does still leave the option open for if Austria had built Army Trieste, they could have walked into Venice, but I think at this point you like, okay, we're sticking together here. Right.
For a while, at least, right? Austria is, of course, going to need to stab Italy at some point, but not for a while.
Yep, and Italy, actually, I didn't look at this before, but they have another build in Paris ready whenever they want it, so that's a fun one. But yes, Army Naples is great. You can convoy it. That's a nice thing to be able to do. And Fleet Rome probably going to go west and assist on that front. Army Moscow, pretty obviously needed now that there's an Army Warsaw. And Army Vienna is just like the more pro-Italian option. Not sure I agree with Army Munich. I think it should have been a fleet. Yeah, Army Munich obviously correct as well. Shall we go into 1970?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the tactics before I look at the moves, but you're welcome to go on ahead. Just don't say anything real quick.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and look at the move and see how accurate Ezio is when he gives his predictions right here.
Yeah, it's a tough, right? So the war in the east with the Army Livonia, Moscow, Ukraine, Sebastopol, Armenia against Army Prussia, Warsaw, Galicia, Budapest, Serbia, Fleet Bulgaria, South Coast is an important part of this whole thing, because that means there's only actually 3 units on Romania. So to my eyes, Russia can basically hold here for a while. I think. Oh no, there's just a convoy into Syria. That's how things get blown up. Yeah, they convoy to Syria, and then that's happening. So because they're doing that, Russia's moving to Armenia, isn't he? He's going back to Armenia.
This is interesting
Oh,
to just... We should do it this way more often, where I just look at the moves and you say your predictions. But no, this is better as a once in a time, I
once in a
think.
while.
But yeah, do you
Yeah, I
want
nailed
to?
it.
Do you want to? Yeah, you have moved ahead. Absolutely. The first thing I noticed when I went through to this phase is that convoy to Syria works out really well, completely unopposed, and Russia notices that it's a possibility and goes to Armenia, as you said, to lock
Yeah,
up
they
this
probably did
border.
the exact same thought process that I did, which is, what on earth is going on over here? Oh wait, Syria's open. Oh dear, that makes the rest of everything completely irrelevant.
Yep, because this is like the most. I think this is. Is this the first successful Lepanto we've seen this game?
I think so. I think it's like the 7th attempted Lepanto, but I'm pretty sure it's the first actual.
Yes! Italian Army Syria, finally! It is now there, but it's not going to get anywhere because we've got Army Armenia, Fleet Smyrna, the Fleet Constantinople, Fleet Bulgaria, East Coast. Maybe it will get somewhere, but it's going to be hard to push. Yeah. But Russia does lose Romania as a response to this. They could have held it with Sebastopol support hold Romania, but they figure that Turkey is more important than Romania, which is probably true.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't know if Turkey is still held because Bulgaria got taken though. That is interesting. Aegean cuts Khan and Syria cuts Arm, but then Smyrna's still held.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Russia's still got a solid-ish position here. And interestingly, in the north, Germany getting back on their feet and Russia seemingly letting it happen. They're just going, okay, yeah, you can have Denmark back. I'm going to Baltic. You can, like, I'll take North Sea, I suppose, but, like, I'm not going to go for you in any way. And we may be seeing a return of the Russia-Germany alliance from aeons ago.
From
Well,
30 years ago in game.
actually, I think that it was only like a decade ago they were last working together, but yeah. So, yeah, I think it's very possible that we see that now, and Italy moving Burgundy to Marseille might be a big mistake on that front. Because if Russia and Germany work together here, you really would have wanted to take Paris. In fact, this kind of leads to my other point, which is, why didn't you take Munich last phase? That would have been so much better for Italy, Austria, if Germany was restricted. Especially for Italy, who, if you can take one power out of this game, you're probably fine, right? Because the others aren't going to solo. It's just going to be a three-way, three-way is much more stable than four-way, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Although...
Yeah, I think eliminating Germany here from Italy would have been a great idea.
Yeah, maybe the other powers wouldn't have let that happen because they both do need to solo. But, I mean, I say a three-way is more stable than a four-way, but then I look at this Italian position, I'm like, what? What is going on with this Italian position? They're everywhere. And it's so interconnected with the Austrian position, it's just... I'm not sure.
I mean, if Austria is looking to solo at a huge number, this is basically what you have to do, right?
Yep.
You have to get yourself super interconnected with another power, and then you have to push beyond the stalemate line everywhere, and then you have to stab them more critically than they stab you.
Yep. Or, to be precise, a turn earlier, right? Or something along those lines.
Better. Like,
Yep.
if you both decide to go to war with each other, but you just do it more effectively, then that's right. That's
Yeah.
totally reasonable.
That's the way alliance play works, but alliance play with Italy here shouldn't be possible because Italy is the person who's going, I don't care if nobody. So my only goal is for nobody solo. So pushing someone across the stalemate line.
First.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so Germany is going to get back into this game. They're picking up another 2. They just need to vacate Kiel here, and there's nothing opposing them from doing that. And they get to put 2 more
the Russians
units.
fleet in the Baltic Sea, but we kind of assume that fleet in the Baltic Sea is not going to mess with it too much.
Yeah, I mean,
He's going to build another fleet. If he builds a fleet in Kiel, and we go full circle, it'll be crazy.
I feel like he has to build fleet Kiel, right? He's only got 1 fleet right now. You don't want 1 fleet as Germany. You want 2 fleets.
Maybe.
This is, well, I mean, yeah. So we do see that Russia now has a interesting position around their homeland. Fleet Baltic means they aren't likely to lose Livonia anytime soon, but then they've got this kind of wall of armies over here that feels hard to break.
Can't they reforce Warsaw because of that Fleet Baltic?
They can cut Prussia, they can put 3 on Warsaw, yeah.
Yeah, they can, or they could just cut Prussia, cut Galicia, and then take Warsaw.
Yep. Yeah, that will work. So it looks like Italy's probably going to lose that if they decide to go that way. But they do potentially lose Livonia if they do that, because Prussia goes to Livonia.
Well, what if... Yeah, if you take it from Livonia, that's true. You could ensure you don't lose Livonia by taking from Moscow, but then if you take...
But then Prussia taps Livonia, right? And then
you don't take Warsaw, so, like, I think I'd rather trade Livonia for Warsaw in most universes.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially considering, is Austria going down 1? No, they're not, because they're taking Romania. Okay.
Yeah, and they should keep Romania, right? Because they backfilled Galicia, yeah.
I think so. It's interesting just seeing Austria and Portugal, Spain. It's not used to seeing that, but it's really nice for the Austrians to have, like, 2 centres over there being controlled by 1 unit. Just
it's amazing.
Give them an extra unit over here, yeah. Right.
Feels so good.
And also, it should be noted, Liverpool to Edinburgh is probably a move to convoy back to Norway, right? And start going back to protect their censors?
Yeah, or get convoyed over to, like, Belgium.
Well, yeah, but I think Russia is like, making a play to get Germany on side here. And they kind of need to stick to that, because this AI is a problem.
Oh, I agree, but I think you could make the move to Belgium in the spring next turn. And then say, yeah, we're going to fill up Burgundy and Gascony. There's only 2 units here in the west for them. We can punch through Iberia, but we need to get another army over there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Definitely a pitch I would make as Russia to Germany. You say, hey, just let me have let me have an army over there, please. Thank you.
Okay, well, I mean, shall we go ahead and see what happens in this fall turn here?
Yeah, I got convoyed to Norway.
Okay. Yep. So this is the last phase we'll cover, aside from builds, I suppose, in this episode. Prussia doesn't do anything. It could have gotten Livonia, it just decides that it prefers to be in Prussia, I guess. Which is reasonable, I suppose. Livonia is a little bit isolated, but it did just blow up the... No, that would have been blown up regardless. Okay.
Marseille to Piedmont.
Marseille to Piedmont is the thing that happened? What? Is that important here? I suppose it's like pro-German. It's very pro-German.
It's just super weird to me. I don't understand what it's doing.
Yeah, it's saying, okay, look, Austria, I'm not threatening your centres. Germany, I'm not threatening your centres. It's trying to keep the German on side, but I feel like that's the wrong play here. Germany is... Getting back into the game is bad for you. Is it that bad? Suppose Germany...
Probably not going to let anyone solo.
Yeah. Germany is going to build Fleet Kiel here, Army Munich. Maybe they're going to continue pressuring Scandinavia or the UK.
Builds Army Kiel, though?
If he builds Army Kiel, I'm going to be sad. There's no way you build Army Kiel, right?
What if you want to force Russia to keep working with you? Right? Because Fleet Kiel does nothing except attack Russia.
Yeah,
right?
But it's also like
Sorry?
It's also like a guarantee of, you've got a fleet in the Baltic.
Yeah,
I can't not build a second fleet.
I mean, that's fair, but he also has a fleet in the Baltic, so you kind of have to be nice to him.
Yeah, I don't know. But, maybe we will see
Well,
Army Keel. I'd prefer to see Fleet Keel.
I believe fleet kill. It's totally a reasonable move, but
Yeah, okay. So, and, the German makes the moves you'd expect the German to make here, self-bouncing Kiel. I would have loved to see Austrian Bohemia to Munich here. Like, I would have loved to see anyone take Munich for the last pass, the past two turns, but I think, like, wanting the German to be on side is kind of reasonable.
yep.
For someone, it's going to be a mistake, but we don't know who that someone is right now. Because Germany has to attack someone. He has to side with someone. He can't side with everyone who's being friendly to him because that's everyone on the board right now. So,
I mean, the way that he's done it, which is he's just sort of taken dots from everyone, is kind of like being friendly to everyone.
yeah,
So you
that's
can keep
true.
doing that, right? You dot Sweden, you dot Brest, you dot Vienna, and then you say, okay, now I'm going to take one more from each one of you. Take Marseille and Spain and Norway. All right, and we're at 13. And then you take Portugal, Venice, St. Pete, and Warsaw. That sounds like whatever enough to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. That would get you to 18, maybe, but I assume people will start.
They just let you take all their centers.
Yeah, always nice. So, like, what else do we need to talk about here? Let's look at the East and the tactics that happened there. Um, Bad for the
Russia
Russian.
tried to take Romania, did not succeed.
Yep.
Got kicked out of Bulgaria, but that was already guaranteed. So,
Yeah, I think that's fair. There's not much else they should have done here, right? There's not really anything else they could have done.
nope.
And they just go for the guaranteed move on Warsaw, which they could have been punished with a unit in Livonia, but they weren't.
Yeah, and like, how much of a punish is that even?
That's
But they don't even have
like
to worry about
it's
that.
basically
So,
no punish with the unit coming back to Norway.
yep,
So yeah,
seems fine. And like, yeah, the Austrian slash Italian worked together to retake Bulgaria. They made sure that Italy kept Greece, so Italy didn't actually go down one there. I mean, despite losing Warsaw, but in the south. And then Russia defended Smyrna. So
yep.
yeah,
So
nothing crazy.
does
Very much what
Austria
you'd expect.
go down one because of Berlin? No, because they game Romania, right? So they're even. Italy is even, except they got blown up in Warsaw. So no, Italy is
No,
just
they're
straight
minus
up even.
Warsaw, right? So they're -1, but it was the unit that got blown up in Warsaw.
Yep. And I mean, we haven't mentioned this for a while, but the units in Mid-Atlantic Ocean, Brest, are working together to try and push out. But it's not really pushing out. It's just like, I'm gonna tap this province to stop you getting into it, kind of pushing out.
Yep. And then basically, at the end of the day, we see Russia lost Denmark and Romania.
Yeah.
So Russia, at the end of the day, is the only one that's down one. Maybe for builds, right?
Yeah,
They have to
Russia's disbands are kind of painful here. What do you choose? You have to, like, decide whether you're going to stick with Germany or not right now.
you like pop Norway or one of your fleets. Those are your
Yeah,
options. And if you're disbanding one of your fleets, it's probably Baltic to work with Germany.
I think it's
But
Baltic.
I could see just popping Norway because you don't want more armies. I like my fleets. I want to have whatever 8 fleets,
Yep.
7 fleets to 13 center Russia. That's great. Yeah, I kind
Alright.
of just want to see it.
Right, let's go ahead to the winter here now. This is the last phase we'll cover in this episode. It's been a longer
Nice.
episode than usual, 3.5 hours now. Whoa. But yes, Fleet Keel, and you were right about Army Norway coming off here. No one else has any adjustments.
Cool.
I like Fleet Keel. I think it was important for Germany to have a second fleet, just so that they had that flexibility of going north if they need to.
Sure.
It's so easy as Germany to get stuck if you stay on one fleet and trust your ally in the northern seas.
Oh, I would assume that Russia's losing more dots. and
Yeah,
then they're going to pull this again.
that's fair. But I think it's nice to have the fleet already down, so you're ready. Right, if he
Yeah,
doesn't.
soon this ticks them off, and this means I'm going to have to defend Denmark and stuff.
Yeah,
So,
that's
like,
fair.
if I'm Russia when I see this, is like, okay, North Sea to Skagerrak, London to North Sea, Irish Sea to North Atlantic Ocean, and I say, all right, we're doing this again.
I don't think this is necessarily anti-Russian. I think you can sell it as, like, just...
Oh, I'm
it's
going to
just
be
there.
supporting you in the English Channel. Just let me into the North Sea. I promise, I won't take Edinburgh.
I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. Because this Austria-Italy alliance is a problem right now for... Maybe not for Germany
Is it
yet.
really? Because it's not really a problem. Because we know that Italy is going to stab Austria before Austria can be a solo threat.
Yeah, that's true. Um, so it's an interesting question of what happens from here, but that's something we'll find out in the next episode, I suppose. We do need to do our power rankings, which is actually kind of hard to do here.
Russia's 1, Austria's 2, Italy's 3, Germany's 4.
Really? Like, Germany just managed to consolidate and get back in there on 7 centers now.
Yep,
you,
you're not wrong. But
like,
are they going to take centers from Russia in the north?
it's hard to see where their growth comes from, that is true.
I see where Austria can gain centers from, Warsaw, right?
Yeah, this
I
is
can
true.
see where Italy gains centers from, Smyrna, as soon as a unit in the south gets popped.
I think
Like,
it was...
Germany's certainly got more growth potential than these other two do, because if Russia, for whatever reason, disbands Baltic Sea, North Sea, then, yeah, Germany's going to take Norway, Sweden, Edinburgh,
I guess
and get
actually,
very fast.
my biggest qualm with that ranking is just, is Russia actually still in first? I know they have 12 centers, but they're spread out on on both sides of the board here, all the way around, and they have every single player ready to jump on them. Are Austria and Italy going to turn around anytime soon? That's a... You know, Austria and Italy are in position to force Mid-Atlantic Ocean through now by pushing a unit up. And the only way Russia can stop that is to, pull away from Germany and potentially leave themselves open to a stab there. I think...
Yeah, but Russia's still in the best position.
Because they have 12 centers.
Like, I don't know what to tell you, man.
I think Russia needs a shake-up of the board dynamics, right? They need someone to stab someone, but...
I agree, and they're the ones who can affect that shakeup the most, because they have the most units. If they want to let Italy get very strong very quickly for some reason, they can. They let Italy take Smyrna, they let Italy take Caen, they let Italy take Ankh. Suddenly, Italy's at +3, and Italy is a huge threat. If they want Germany to be a threat, they make Germany be the threat. They let Germany into Sweden, into Norway, into Edinburgh. Germany's huge. They want Austria to be big, because Austria is between the other ones and is potentially a more dangerous one. They let Austria take Warsaw, Moscow, and St. Pete.
That's actually
Russia
true.
can choose who gets to get anything, and...
The problem
Right.
is, in all of those situations, it's about Russia losing all their dots.
Okay.
Or at least a whole bunch of them, and weakening themselves in order to... But yeah, I suppose I hadn't really thought about it in that way. Russia is in the strongest negotiating position right now.
Except that you're going to lose things and just give it to people you want to give it to. I
Yeah.
think Germany is probably the best bet of person to give it to, so I could see making Germany #1 for that reason. But, like, I think that it's too much up in the air about who does Russia actually choose to give it to, because it's so tight. And if Russia does anything else, then yeah, it's going to be different. But he's got 4 more units than the second highest, and Italy is just trying to play to stop a solo. So, like, what does
Yeah.
it matter? I don't know.
I suppose. Alright, so then I guess our power rankings here, I will put them up. We have Russia in first place, Austria in second, Italy in third, and then Germany in fourth. I could really see putting Germany higher than this, but we'll
Okay.
we'll leave it as this.
Who would you switch Germany with?
I don't know, like probably Italy. See, I have a suspicion that Austria is just going to walk into Venice at some point, but I suppose this is what Army Piedmont is there to stop. I just feel like Germany has such flexibility right now with everyone wanting to work with him. And who's going to
Germany's
attack him?
got 5 armies, right? What are these
Yeah.
armies going to do?
I guess they have to... yeah, that's a good point. They have to
They're gonna try to
go...
take, like, Brest and go into Tyrolia. Maybe they can go after Marseille. Or they just all sit at home and defend as centers.
I would love to see them go to Austria, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
And stuff, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I want to get Prussia and Silesia away. That would be nice,
Yeah.
certainly.
But
But I don't, like, I agree that he has no enemies. That's true. But you know what I like more than having no enemies? Exactly one enemy who's too weak to do anything against me.
I mean, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Well, I will leave the power rankings as this for now. And I think 3 hours 40 minutes is our longest episode so far, so we will leave it here. We'll say,
I do not expect these episodes to get longer as we got deeper.
well, this one was special, right? Because the game very nearly ended. It was so
Yeah.
close.
We only could hope.
Russia, if you'd changed 2 orders, you would have saved us 4 episodes.
Or cost us 4 episodes is the case.
Oh
maybe.
yeah, that's also true.
Thanks, Richard. I get to keep on doing these recordings.
Yay! They are actually quite fun. To be fair, we joke around a lot, but I think it's great to have people watching them, and thank you for listening for this long.
It's just fun to hang out and chat about nonsense.
Yep. Alright, and speaking of that, we will save the rest of the nonsense for next time. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.